for my own peace of mind, I need certain things to be unplugged before I leave the house.
Tim couldn't use a condom. He'd have to pull out.
Mayo experience.
Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Mayo experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience. Week 15, picks against the spread. Omaha Steaks premium picks of the week. Some free money, a Cust Corner, and everything in between. Please, you out there, give me the Christmas gift of leaving a rating and review on the audio podcast for Apple Podcasts. You can set on your auto subscribe as well. You can do it on Spotify, and please enter the Spotify question of the week. Will the Buffalo Bills win the AFC East? Yes or no? Just to drive engagement on Spotify. I'd like to hear from you guys. That would really help us out as we're trying to get on the main page because we continue to surge up the charts. So smash the like and sub to the YouTube channel while you're here and play in both DraftKings Listeners Leagues this week. There's one for the Saturday-only slate and one for the Sunday-only slate. Geoff Fienberg is on the line. What, did every single underdog win outright last week except for 2? Something crazy like that?
Yeah, I think the actual number was 8. But maybe I got that wrong. Quite a remarkable week. Yeah, I mean, I had my death blow in many different ways, including, like huge, not that anyone cares, but my story, huge home league. Like I got Aubrey'd. I got that Dallas kicker. And I'm the guy that bangs on the table for us to lose kickers. But my pals find humor, like it's called kicker humor. Like they find humor in all the silliness that comes from it. And I guess that's part of their fun. I don't like it. So sorry. Yeah. Week 15, my head's chopped off.
Okay. Not great for Geoff Fienberg in week 14. Maybe things can turn around for you for the rest of the season. Who knows? Paul's here, the coin's here, and of course, on the line, as he always is Tim Andacust.
Tim Andacust.
That's not my name.
I heard it was. You liked the outcomes of Monday Night Football, I know, but you liked the doubleheader.
I will openly say, as somebody who was, and I was telling you this on Sunday, that I was very skeptical of having 2 games on simultaneously on ABC and ESPN, and I didn't think it was going to be any good. And I watched it, and I loved the experience of it, and it was great. And I would, as I tweeted last night, I would far rather get rid of every single Thursday game other than like the Thanksgiving game or the opener and make all the Monday Nighters double headers instead. And that would be a much more enjoyable football watching experience. It was great to flip between the 2 games. And like if this is on commercial, the other game wasn't. And it's a good way to have island football without it being, exclusively an island or a dud. I really liked it. I thought it was great.
Geoff, I think the move would be stagger them by an hour because then you can have a showcase for an hour, then the games come on, so then you have like 2.5 hours of being able to go between whatever game is better, and then you still have the final hour to kind of highlight the end of whatever game it is. Then you stretch it out just a little bit more, but they're never getting rid of Thursday Night Football. That's not happening.
Yeah, well, the Amazons paid a lot of money, and if anything, I don't know, they'll probably find more ways to get Amazon games. As it was explained to me, a couple points, both when they've done it earlier and this week, we're like guinea pigs here. The NFL's collecting data points on our viewership on these sorts of things, and they're going to figure out what's perfect for them, Pat. Like they probably will experiment again into next year, and at some point they're going to figure out like the perfect formula for these 2-game Monday nighters. I saw a lot of like football hardos, which I am totally a part of, but like the true, I don't want to say it, like complaining that they didn't like when they went split screen. And as somebody who was with a newborn all over the house, not in my setup at all points of a game with the multi-screen, I love that. I appreciated that. I am a week away, essentially plus a day away from being the 40 plus crowd. Like that works for me. I appreciated the split screen. So many guys with their great setups who can just be lounging like we're so mad. And I kind of get it, but there is another world out there. And I think the split screen is appreciated
And Tim hit on
in
it.
those big moments, in the goal line moments.
Tim hit on it as well, that this shields the island games from being really terrible. I mean, you could have two really terrible games, I suppose, but they seem less terrible if there's two going on at the same time. It's sort of the red zone effect from the early slate on Sunday, just to a very minimal level, that two bad games are still going to feel like it's a little bit of fun, at least, unless you're like, I don't know, some sort of crazy person. But if it's just one terrible game, then you might tune out of that. So I'm kind of with you guys on this. I liked it as well. I thought it was fun.
It would be like the match play final on Sunday if both matchups were relevant and one wasn't just a consolation round. And like you could flip between the two.
No, that's
kind of what it would be.
That is nothing like what it is, because that's essentially what they do. Here's the problem. Although there's a lot of stop and start in football, there's still kind of things going on. If like you said, if one is on commercial, then the other one is probably on. Or if heaven forbid that they're both in commercial, they're coming back soon, and then plays are running, or they can fill the time. With golf, in the match play, it's four guys playing golf. Like, oh yeah, that guy hit a shot, then he hit a shot. Let's go over and see what the other guys are doing. Oh, he's lining up a putt for 5 minutes. Like, there's nothing going on the other match most of the time.
I mean, to Pat's original point, when you cheer for a bad team and you play a bad game, sometimes you're very thankful that you're buried in the 1 p.m. slate with 7 games, because when you play poorly in prime time, it feels like you played like 10 times worse than you did, and the internet's telling you played 100 times worse than you did. But last night was truly magical. It was magical. It was maybe it was, I guess, maybe like the kickoff to the home stretch in the playoffs, but both games and the cutlets, like, I'm losing money and I'm having not as bad of a time as I should have been, losing my super lock, despite the Packers missing kicks, turning it over 3 times, just giving away the points, but is what it is. And then that ending last night, it was just a magical night. I went to bed like wired, like I couldn't sleep. And maybe that was good, because you got to step up, be a hero with a newborn, make it like you're grinding, staying awake. But no, I was wired. Like when I was a teenager and we just played hockey at like 10 o'clock at night and I can't sleep for 2 hours after. Like, last night was fantastic, except if you're a Dolphins fan.
Well, you kind of hit on it, that if something bad happens in prime times, it seems 100 times worse than it actually is. The internet has turned into Tim on Tua today. Just Tua's done. Just pack that guy in. Dolphins are done.
We'll get to Tua when we get to them.
They could never win a game again. Oh, I mean, here's your chance. What are your feelings?
It was the worst performance by a quarterback all year, and Tim Boyle played 2 games this year.
Come on.
And Tim Boyle, it was the worst performance, because not only was he was throwing suicide passes.
Every Bryce Young pass has been worse. Everyone. At least 2 up.
No. He
at
put
least
Waddle and A-Chain in unbelievably dangerous circumstances.
That's true.
Because as soon as he loses Tyreek Hill, he has no idea what to do with the football. All of their points last night came off of Tennessee once again being the most incompetent special teams team you've ever seen, and a fluky pick 6. Like, the Dolphins offense scored 3 real points last night, and he looked so out of sorts and so terrible. It was the worst performance by a quarterback this year. The worst. And one of those quarterbacks threw a Hail Mary that got returned for a touchdown. It was the worst performance I have seen. It was anybody who wants to say that Geoff's team got the worst QB in the 2020 draft is out of their minds to say so after last night. Because as bad as it gets with Herbert, it never gets that bad. It never gets that bad.
Paul wants to chime in here.
Calling the pick 6 is probably a bit like calling it fluky. I don't know if I would call it fluky. That was probably the worst pass I have seen by any quarterback. The Levis right to like the lineman, and he just walked right in.
Well, he was
that
only
was
there
not even
because
fluky.
Tua didn't know how to handle a snap. It only turned into a touchdown because Tua gave the ball away on the goal line because he didn't know how to handle the snap.
It's strategy. They
His,
got it in the end zone.
It was his
I
center got taken out of the game.
I am right. I
No,
am right.
yeah,
I'm
it's
100%
not even
right.
close.
His center
It was
got
a bad
taken
game.
out. They didn't have a connection, and then that's what happened there.
Yeah,
It was so bad, Jeff. What happened to the comeback player of the year market? How bad was the performance?
Okay, stop it. You're being
How bad was it?
No, you're trying to butter me up by and my pal Eric Eager had a great tweet last night. It was essentially like it's like what Tua looks like without Tyreek, and he's just posted a picture of Herbert, which was a shot at me, but also okay, fun. There were at least 2 or 3 plays in that darkness that like I thought were beautiful throws, like on a dime. So when you say the worst performance of the season, like I've watched Bryce Young play 15 games with like no ceiling plays. Like Tua played horribly, but there were and he almost got some guys killed, which is scary. But there were also a couple like beautiful dimes. So it's not even in my thoughts for the worst QB game of the year.
The
like,
Dolphins
you're being
season,
so unfair. You're
the
being
Dolphins-
so unfair.
The Dolphins season ended last night. They are not going anywhere. Let's bury them now.
Should we bet on them? to win the
Maybe
Super
they'll go.
Bowl
Maybe
now?
they'll make the playoffs because they have 9 wins and they might get to 10. But they're not winning in the playoffs. They're not going to a Super Bowl. They're not winning. I went to bed last night beaming because I knew there was now no risk of that worst case scenario coming to pass. No chance. It is OVAH for the Miami Dolphins in terms of like doing something serious this season. You saw last night when as we've seen so many times when you put the Dolphins in prime time, when the going gets tough, they don't get going. Another lackluster, embarrassing performance from the Miami Dolphins in prime time. You put them on a stage for you to watch them, and all you see is just a poor performance. And like Tyreek is obviously their most valuable player. Like, don't tell me that Tua or a quarterback is more important than a receiver. In that instance, when you see what happens when Tyreek's in that game and the electricity he brings to the team and the plays he makes, and what happens when he's not there. So let's just dispel the rumor of anybody who thinks that Tua is a more valuable player to his team than Tyreek.
So
that argument has been definitively finished last night. It was just such a terrible performance against an awful Titans team. An
The coach was worse than the
awful team.
quarterback.
How bad is it that the team gives you not 1, but 2 muffed kicks to give you free touchdowns, and you still don't manage to win that game?
So two
But Mike
things.
McDaniel's a genius.
One,
But Mike McDaniel's a
hold
genius.
on.
So we can't blame him for anything.
Shut up. This is a easy way to get into the Spotify poll of whether or not the Bills will win the AFC East at this point. It sounds like Tim might be in favor of that right now. If you go on the Spotify link, you can find that right now. Just scroll down, answer the poll question. Easy stuff. Jeff, it did seem like Tyreek going out of the game was one thing, but the play, like Mike McDaniel didn't call a very good game once the center went out. It seemed like everything got blown up, that like Tua had 0 time and he didn't know what to do. But it also seemed like Mike McDaniel didn't know how to call plays without that time. That it's, I don't want to say it's reminiscent of kind of how you beat Brady, and I mean, the Giants were able to do it by rushing forward, just getting Brady off his spot, and then he couldn't do anything anymore. And there were so few teams that could do that. But if their offensive line is going to be in shambles, like a lot of different teams in the league, they were kind of patched together. But now they're down 4 of their starting O-linemen, and without time, Tua can't do much here.
And Simmons was out last night, which I thought would be a huge factor in that game. Mike McDaniel, who's always had a play and is a genius. And I've said many times, he's on like, I think he's got some level of like an Asperger's, but the genius side. But last night, like he went to the other side of it. The goal line fades, he's always got a play. And he's calling goal line fades the most low percentage bullshit. I put it more on the coach than the quarterback last night. I do.
When did you become a Tua apologist?
Yeah, like why are you running interference for what was wholly incompetent play at the quarterback position? I've given Tua his just desserts this year when he's played well and played and
not
Sterling.
Yes, yeah,
I've been here to say as such.
I would agree, Tim. You've been very fair and balanced on Tua. The guy has a bad game, and it's the worst performance in the history of football.
Well, no, but it was the worst.
It
performance
wasn't.
of a
It was not.
quarterback
It was
this
not the
season.
worst.
It was the worst. performance.
No, it wasn't.
It was
by
awful
by
on
no
every
by
level.
no objective metric was it. Besides
You watch
Cust
that
ranking.
game, well, I'm sorry, but I have eyes and I used them. And what they showed me, well, it wasn't even just the incompetent passes. It was he was throwing the ball over the middle to receivers who were in the train tracks. It's like, what are you doing? You can't throw that pass. Like, anyway, team's not that fast anyway, as I've been saying for months. They're not that fast. I mean, they're fast, but they're not like the fastest team you've ever seen. And they're not that good. And the Bills are plus 300 to win the division, and I would say they're probably going to do it.
Okay, well.
Making me a Tua apologist isn't fair because which maybe I am, but all I'm saying is that wasn't one of the worst games of the season by a quarterback, despite him playing really poorly. And I'm also saying that the coach deserves, despite how bad he played, I actually think the coach still could have bailed out the team with all the breaks the Titans gave them by not using the most low percentage passes at the goal line when Tyreek Hill isn't even there.
Yeah, it shows what an actual good head football coach, which we saw last night in Mike Vrabel, will always undo a good tactician, which is what Mike McDaniel is.
I don't even know what to call it, but it was 3.5 minutes left, a 14-point favorite, up 14. Like, it's unheard of.
I think it's 1 in like 537 instances or something like that. I mean, eventually it happens.
Yeah,
so maybe it's a kick in the
Wouldn't
ass.
be the first time the Dolphins have thrown away a Monday night game in their history.
I literally said, this is like, for our generation, I was in high school. This is like to younger Dolphin fans, this is their Jumbo Elliott.
Except that game was 30-7 in the fourth quarter.
What was it with 3.5 minutes left?
That I can't remember, but
probably close.
But it was a 23-point comeback in the fourth quarter. So,
yeah, this was a 14-point comeback with 3.5 minutes.
Like, it still is. I mean, it's a great It's not like last year's 33-0 comeback by the Vikings over the Colts, but it was impressive. Look, the Dolphins wear this. The Dolphins looked bad against the Patriots in prime time. They looked bad against the Eagles in prime time. They looked bad against the Jets in prime time. When are the Dolphins going to play a good game in prime time? You wonder why the Dolphins aren't on as often as all the other glitz and glamour teams. The network knows, despite how good they look at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, they're not that good. They're not that fast. They're not that fun.
The best win on the Dolphins schedule, you could debate this, but like going into the actual game and the talent of the week of the game at hand, would be their wins against both the Chargers week 1 and the Denver game where they scored 70 points. But that Denver team isn't the Denver team that is now.
No,
but
despite the fact that it's exactly the same Denver team.
Yeah, that's really weird. But that's weird. And that's incredible. And credit.
I don't see any more wins on the Dolphins schedule. I'll say that.
They play the Jets this week.
I know who they play. I know what I said.
Okay. Oh my God, you are going to be a machine. Then
they play the Cowboys. The Cowboys going to eat them for breakfast.
Yeah,
then they play Buffalo, who already blew them out, and the Ravens. Yeah. So at best, they have one more win left on that schedule. At best.
Okay. We just got news on the Dolphins. Worse news. I guess Tyreek's going to be fine, so that's great news for them. But Connor Williams, their guard, is now done for the season, and their center doesn't look like he's going to play. So they're down Armstead, Hunt, Williams, and the center.
About to go play the New York Jets.
Where's that game?
Most ferocious defenses. The game's in South Beach, but they're about to play one of the most ferocious defenses in football. Good luck. Good luck. Tyreek has scored how many touchdowns against the Jets since he came to Miami? I think the answer is less than 1. That would be the correct answer. 0. But he's the fastest player anyone's ever seen. People have been faster than him this season, but he's the best player anyone's ever seen.
You've been sitting on this hate for like a long time because you just exploded off one. Like, clearly it's embarrassing, but both our teams are, have lose embarrassing all the time.
All the time. But it was good to see the Miami who I know who they are, the real Miami, show up last night.
I did like last week. You said you were watching the game with your dad, and your dad was rooting on the Jets because because he felt bad for you. And now your dad's team, you're just fucking burying him.
Oh yeah, he kept sending me texts through the game last night, like more or less the sort of text you send somebody when you're hoping the other person will like give some positive affirmation. No, absolutely not. I was like, good. Like he was upset about the Bradley Chubb thing. I was like, yeah, that was a draft pick well spent.
Jesus.
I've taken blame. People are calling me the new Cust in some respects because
Vote Geoff, by the way. Vote Geoff.
Yeah, that last 10 minutes really helped you.
I was right about everything I said.
Pat, you put that ball is in play every week. Okay. Some weeks are going to be blowouts. Some weeks are going to be close games. Some weeks you're going to be on the other end of a blowout. Like the ball is in play too much for just all spectrums. I just, I hope to get blown out less. I know that once in a while it's just in my personality, like Tim, like I'm going to not be able to help myself and I'm going to just do it, and that's part of the charm. Oh, last week I said that I don't care that the Dolphins haven't beaten anyone good. I don't think they should be scared of anyone in the AFC. I said that last week. So now people are calling me the new Cust, like when he made his 49er claims and then like, look what happened to them. So we'll see. We'll see. I think they'll get those injuries. Be a fun storyline.
It would. I tried to line up Gary in this week as the Sunday night guest, but he's at a work party, so he cannot do that. So we do need a guest for Sunday Night Football.
There's a work party on a Sunday night during football season in the sports business?
It's not his work party.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
It's his fiance's work party.
Should also never be any work parties on a Sunday night. I'm opposed to that.
I mean,
Because if people need the day to recover,
you
they need the day to recover.
You realize, Tim, that not everyone works in the same industry as you, right?
No, but a lot
Are
of
you sure?
people.
Are you sure
the
you don't realize that? You realize
of people work
that
on
if you're
Mondays.
having a Christmas party on Sunday evening, it might be due to the industry that you're in.
The preponderance of people work on Mondays.
Yeah.
Therefore,
I'm guessing that if you have a work party on Sunday evening, that you don't work on Monday morning.
I don't know.
Really?
I don't know. I don't know. I'll honestly say I don't know.
They don't.
But yes, Garion will be missed because that would have been great to watch him come in here, cap in hand, having to hear him explain. Oh well, I guess this happens to the Dolphins all the time, and
I actually feel bad because Dolphin fans, like they're so long suffering, they never allow.
Oh, don't empathize.
No,
why? All you ever look for is for people to feel bad for you,
and they don't.
Yeah, because you're you. And listen. Your dad was feeling bad for you. He showed empathy towards you, and you fucking kicked him in his grave.
But Dolphin fans that I know, like they're so downtrodden that they've really never allowed themselves to get excited. And obviously this year's been different. They've put up a 70 burger. Everything's been fun and easy. Yes, they've lost some games against good teams, but the program is going, like they just aren't allowing themselves to get excited. And then clearly they're at the point where like we should start getting excited. We're allowed to get excited now. It's appropriate. And then that. It's almost literally like what happened to me personally and Blue Jays fans, to give Tim his credit. Through the whole process, we're being used like this isn't real. I will not believe this. I'm not going to get excited because I will not allow myself to be disappointed. This makes no sense whatsoever. And then somewhere along the way on that Friday morning, lost the plot.
Yeah, you became
like Dolphin fans.
You become Fox Mulder. You want to believe.
Yeah, we lost the plot. We lost the plot. I admit it. Every time Tim spoke about it last week, made his projections, I totally agreed with him. There's no way he would trust the Blue Jays to win for him. It makes no sense. It's always been the Dodgers. But Friday morning, I lost the plot. I have to own, like all Blue Jays fans did. I lost the plot. And now I'm left so dumb. How did you lose the plot? You knew the story the whole way. So, yeah. there's that. Credit to you, Tim.
Well, we might have to put out the bat signal for Sunday night. I know he's probably watching or listening and probably rating and reviewing on Apple or Spotify and answering that question. We might have to get Nick from the notorious FNTSY YouTube channel on to make his debut appearance. Big Dolphins fan. It might be time to call him up and go one-on-one with Cust to see how the result of this game is going to go. I do want to recap last week before we do get into the games, though, mainly because I won last week. I was 9-5. That puts me into the lead by a game over the coin, which went 8-6. So 109-97 to 108-98. Geoff was 7-7. So he goes 107-99. Obviously, the Raiders and Vikings game was a push. So we don't count the ties. So those get thrown out. And Tim, you were 8-6. You're only 6 games below 500 now. You got time to do this.
I do. I absolutely do. I need to go 8-6 basically down the stretch, and I get there.
We all lost our super lock. Baltimore could not come through with me. Green Bay could not come through for Geoff, and Indianapolis could not come through for Tim. And the free money teaser was a loser. Geoff, do you know why?
I forget.
It needed one thing to happen on Monday Night Football, and it was for the Packers to win. Yeah.
Jeff got me fired up.
I saw Cam won the teaser you guys made.
He just rapid fire 7-leg teaser winner. Easy game.
And I love that, like, obviously Pizzola's happy for him, but at the same time, like, that eats Pizzola up. Like, Cam's going to hit, like, the most negative EB 7-point off the cuff teaser. And now it's, like, got to be a thing. So, yeah, but I love that. Good for Cammy.
Well, Let's talk about your team, Geoff. They play on Thursday Night Football. You got some Easton Stick action. You got some Aiden O'Connell action. It is a 3-point favorite situation at home for the Raiders over the Chargers. Justin Herbert now announced as out for the season. It's something that we speculated on the Sunday night show this week, that regardless of how serious the injury is, that you might not want to play him the rest of the season now that you have basically zero chance of making the playoffs. May as well get that 4th place schedule, and a great pick, Geoff.
May as well. And listen, I'm a fan. I'm a loser. Like until you got that 8th loss comes on the schedule on the scoreboard, I am like, let's run the table, get to 10, make the playoffs. But the moment, like the second, which happened this moment Herbert got hurt, that 8th loss comes on the board, I turn into like a different human being. I offered Rob, like, how many quarters do you want me for the watch along tomorrow? Like, I won't even be nervous. I'll be chill. I care, but it's almost like spring league to like a college fan, like a spring game now. 5-12 is my goal. This is the most important game of our season. We didn't get to play any important games. This is the most important game. I'll explain it to you quickly. There's no way the Chargers will beat the Bills playing for something with Easton Stick. There's no way.
See, you say that. The Bills have a storied history of losing to teams when they need to play for something, and the other team has nothing to play for.
There's no way the Chargers will go into Denver and beat this new Sean Payton culture. Credit to them, because we've moved on to what lies ahead, but they went into that game with an objective to take Herbert's head off. And from the first play, they were executing that plan. And luckily they didn't take his head off. They just broke his finger. Marvelous work. And they do this thing where they only run and they only throw short screens to running backs or tight ends or throw really deep. It was explained best, Pat, as an analogy. They're like this NBA team that forbids to take the 15-foot, like, useless jump shot. They will only, like, throw a blood dump or a bomb. And it works for them, and I kind of saw it firsthand. And the Chargers won't beat the Chiefs. They won't beat the Chiefs, assuming the Chiefs are playing for anything, and Mahomes is playing. That's 5-12. All these other 5-win teams at the moment, be it the Bears, the Giants, the Titans, even the Jets, because they're used to playing with a bad quarterback, they're all going to win another game. The Chargers go 5-12. They'll pick 4 through 6. And if 2 quarterbacks, maybe 3 quarterbacks go first, then they get the second or third position player off the board, badly needed. Badly needed. Maybe they trade for more picks. I don't give a shit. If they win this game, my doomsday scenario comes into play, truth be told. If they win this game and get 6 to 7 wins, Pat, we are probably in my end of season rankings that aren't related to the schedule, but sort of the programs and how the season went related to it. The only team the Chargers would be better than would be the Carolina Panthers. Even if they finished like with the 14th in the middle on the expectation progress, we'd need a total restart. It'd have been a total waste. The only team that will have had a worse season is the Carolina Panthers. So I actually desperately need them to lose Thursday.
So you're taking Vegas -3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This is a short week with a backup quarterback. This isn't my backup quarterback theory. This might be Cam's backup quarterback theory.
Well, Cam only has one backup quarterback theory. Is a backup quarterback playing? And then, yes, bet on them.
Mine is it's the first game with the backup quarterback. So we check that box, but it has to be on a good team. A good team. We're not a good team. We are not well coached, and it's a short week. The Raiders got shut out at home to the Vikings. So it's possible the Chargers could win this game because no offense to the Vikings, but that's like so embarrassing. So we better not win. We better not win. Derwin James, you know what his PFF grade was on Sunday?
-3.
Close. 30. Okay, everyone is broken. Everything is broken. I think my veterans just want their bi-weekly checks, and we finish this job off, and we don't fire a coach. We make him live in his shit for a couple more weeks. We let him live with knowing the guillotine is coming. That is, I guess, our way. But it's coming. It's coming.
I kind of want to take the Chargers, Tim, just because Vegas, probably no Josh Jacobs in this game. We saw that, at least Khalil Mack was able to get to Aiden O'Connell when these teams played in week number 4. I just have zero faith that the Chargers are going to be able to score points here. But I can kind of say the same thing about the Raiders.
Yeah, the Raiders literally lost a game 3-0 this week. So, and somehow Aiden O'Connell still looked significantly better than Tua, which, again, underscores that performance. But, I can't lay 3 points with the Raiders in a short week after that performance. I don't know much about Easton Stick, but I'm going to back the Chargers. I'm not going to watch a second of this game. I encourage you not to do so. You don't need to. Life is too short. Don't watch this game. It's Christmas time. There are things to do on a Thursday night. Go do your shopping. Go do whatever.
So what you're saying is that you would encourage people to gamble on the game yet not watch it, especially at DraftKings Sportsbook.
If you gamble on it and you don't watch it, you get paid regardless.
When you gamble on it, Tim.
Regardless, you still get to win or lose regardless whether you watch it yourself.
Yes, Paul.
You don't need to watch it.
I just wanted to say that it's funny that Tim is the expert on this quarterback looked the worst out of everybody this year, but he's also telling people not to watch games. So in theory, he's missed certain games where quarterbacks have played worse than Tua. Correct?
No. I know I can look at no. Because I'll watch the highlights later.
Nice, Paul. You got you, man.
It was the most pathetic performance at quarterback I'm trying to think of a worse one. That I'm straining to think of one.
Dude, you watch the Jets every week.
I know, and that tells you something. If I can say I've watched what the Jets have done this year and can say without a shadow of a doubt that every one of those performances was more impressive than what we saw last night.
I'm going to take Vegas. I'll jump aboard the train with Geoff here. Maybe they have more continuity right now, and like Geoff said, it sounds like they may have quit on their coach. So I'll take the team that hasn't quite yet quit, although they're no good either. But that's where we're at. Moving to Saturday. 3 Saturday games. And although Geoff seems kind of down because of DeMar Hamlin moving to -700 to be comeback player of the year right now with Tua slipping, there is hope, Geoff, because the Bengals are 3.5-point favorites at home against the Nick Mullins-led Vikings. Hero time for Nick Mullins. Did you know that through 17 career starts, he has 4,500 passing yards and 24 passing touchdowns? For some context, Andrew Luck, in his first 17 starts, had the same amount of passing yards and 25 touchdowns. Essentially, everything that's happened to the Vikings this year, they end up with Andrew Luck.
Credit to Nick Mullins. Incredible player. Those are incredible statistics.
And they're winning this game because Nick Mullins is playing quarterback. Vikings plus 3.5.
Not
Yeah, I'll take
taking
it.
anybody's bait. I have a Saturday. Look, we're coming into the holiday season. You people are looking to make some extra cash. I've got a Saturday money line parlay for the people and a Sunday teaser.
Okay, what's
And the first
is Minnesota?
and the
'cause of
first
Nick
part of the
Mullins?
money line parlay is where we are putting the Cincinnati Bengals on that, because as you and I discussed on Sunday night, as good as you want to call Nick Mullins, Andrew Luck, like a fool, go ahead. But we both agreed that Browning is Dan Marino. So I'll take my chances.
Okay. Listen, there's only one player to come into the game and move the ball down the field, Jeff, and it was Nick Mullins on Sunday for the Vikings. All of the hate that Cust had against Dobbs resulted in his most hated player of all time coming in and winning a game.
Yeah, it's like the credit offsets the.
Yeah, he couldn't relish in the fun of Dobbs being terrible because Nick Mullins came in and won a game. It was amazing.
Very annoying. It's a bad game.
No, 3-0.
should've won that game.
What happened to you being like, 3-0 game? That's how football's played. That used to be your entire thing.
I still stand by, if it's good quality defense being played and smart strategy, it is enjoyable football. But that wasn't. That was Aiden O'Connell and whichever quarterback Minnesota decided to play in that moment, just making bad decisions and fumbling the ball and missing kicks, whatever. The sadness game. All these Saturday games are super consequential and they matter. As much as you don't need to watch a second of Thursday, I endorse watching all 3 games on Saturday.
I actually really do like the Vikings here, Jeff. It's just going to be a different defense thrown at Browning. Maybe this time he'll drink some water on the sideline so he doesn't get cramping midway through the game. But
Doesn't need to.
What Flores is throwing at these quarterbacks, especially these inexperienced quarterbacks, is just a lot for them to handle. It's essentially how the Vikings have got back in to not only the driver's seat to get a playoff spot in the NFC, despite a 0% chance of them making the playoffs, according to Tim, that they're kind of in the running for the division at this point if they can win this game. They have 2 games. They have 2 games. They have 2 games against the Lions coming up, Jeff. They can win this game, and then they sweep the Lions. They win the division all of a sudden.
Yeah, but they're going to be dogs in all 3 of those games.
Yeah, but they've been dogs in most of these games.
They're probably
going
to. So means I think they're probably, they weren't a dog last week on the road. They're probably going to lose all 3 of those games. Like if I were looking at the NFC for the playoffs, Minnesota is one of the teams I would rather have the Rams team and be a game back to have Minnesota's team and schedule and have.
You still won't bet Paul on that.
There's no need. There's no need.
So you're taking Cincinnati?
The Bengals. Yeah, they're the first part of a money line parlay, the Saturday parlay.
And we might get lucky here for the Vikings offense. Justin Jefferson could be back for this game after suffering chest contusions, and there was no internal organs that were damaged after taking that hit. And Alexander Madison might be out, which I think actually is a good thing for the running game at this point, Jeff.
Yeah, I don't really care much for this one, but I'm a rider like you, Pat, for Nick Mullins. So that's part of the brand we run with here. So I'm on the Vikings.
Yeah, former Custy Award winner as Cust's most hated, or whatever that was back then. He won a Custy, and now he's going to win this game. It's amazing stuff. What a career for Nick Mullins. Pittsburgh at Indianapolis. We do not get Kenny Pickett back. We're getting Mitch Trubisky once again. The Colts are 2.5-point favorites at home. This is starting to feel, Tim, like a loser leaves town match.
It could be, but as I said recently, like you don't get to lose to the second and third worst teams in the NFL and me take you seriously anymore. And that's what the Steelers did. So I can't, in good conscience, pick them. Yeah, they've had a little extra rest, but not as much as you would usually get coming off Thursday because this is a Saturday game.
But wouldn't that mean even
And-
less rest for the Colts?
No, but like you don't get the
No,
full
it
10
doesn't?
days.
No, you
I
get
don't know how you set your thing. I don't know how having one fewer day to set up the mini buy. I don't know quite what advantage you draw from it in the same way as the 10-day, like in terms of setting up the schedule. Anyway, I don't like whatsoever Pittsburgh's chances in this game. Colts are on a short list to maybe once again go back on the super lock train. I'm taking Indianapolis minus 2.5, and they are the second part of the money line parlay. They're probably going to eat Pittsburgh alive in this game, actually.
I can't figure out either of these teams. I don't think I'm alone on that, Geoff, that I kind of just want to take the points and roll the dice.
From the darkness of those losses where they feel unbettable, you'd almost want to bet against both of these teams if they were playing against any other teams. Because does feel like it's about to hit midnight and they're both about to become full pumpkins. This is gross, Pat. Like, I agree with you. I'm siding with just, I don't know, the home team on the Saturday. I don't know. Yeah, another dome team outdoors.
No, it's in Indianapolis.
Oh, fuck that. I'm taking the Colts.
Yeah.
You see what that 8th loss does to me? I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Like right now, the movie just ended and I just don't like looking at things. But I'll get over that. Like I'll be into it. Just at the moment, I don't stare at the schedule or who other teams are playing.
I'll take the Steelers. Just the Colts. They scored a defensive touchdown last week and still got blown out by the Bengals. The week before, I mean, we just saw it again with Tennessee, as Tim pointed out earlier, but they had to block 2 punts in that game and have a missed extra point just to get it to overtime for them to win. Like, they're hanging on by a thread here, just like the Steelers are. So, the Steelers... Do we know if TJ Watt's going to play or not? Because they put him back in that game, but now he's in concussion protocol. I guess if he's not playing, then it's a pretty legitimate game changer for the Steelers defense. If he's in there and he's like, all right, then the defense is the best unit in this game for the Steelers, although their offense is quite terrible.
The magic just seems to be gone. That's all. You got to know that. You ride the magic while it's hot, and then you get off it when it's gone because it doesn't come back usually.
But how much, like, they could still, excuse me. Yes, the magic's gone, but it does feel like maybe they're still in their same like weight class playing the Colts.
Yes, I would agree, but honestly, do you really think the Colts would lose to New England and Arizona back to back? I don't think that's in their realm of outcomes.
But also, that's not how this works.
Well, it is how it works because they just played.
Yeah, no,
If they would've played them,
I understand
it's
that, but now they get to play each other. It's not like the Colts get automatic credit for beating the
No,
Steelers
but
because they
what I'm
wouldn't
saying
lose
is that-
those other two games. And yes,
No,
I could see the Colts losing to
No,
the
I could
Patriots because I saw that game happen like 3 weeks ago. They won by 4 and couldn't move the ball.
And then lose to Arizona the next week. I think the Colts are a better team. So they're only laying 2.5. They're saying they're equal teams. I think you get a little bit of value in Indianapolis here. In fact, I'm convinced of it.
To be honest, that Colts game, I think, was the last time anyone has scored over 10 points versus the Patriots in like a month and a half. So that's kind of impressive.
Pittsburgh scored 18 against them.
Oh, yeah.
And they didn't
High
score
score.
more. They didn't score more than 10. They scored 10. They won 10-6.
Yeah, but Pittsburgh scored 18.
Denver and Detroit, the last of the Saturday games. This has the potential to be kind of a fun one. Detroit's now favored by 5 at home, and 48 is the over-under. We theorized on Sunday that the Broncos would just be the very popular side of this game. It doesn't seem to be coming to fruition. I still like Denver. I think that Denver's going to win the game outright, so I will take Denver.
I was too surprised as I was looking at the line late this afternoon. It's like, it's weird. We had chatted on the desk on Sunday that we thought Denver would be a very public underdog, and obviously a lot of steam has come in on the Lions. But what's the difference between 3.5 and 5? Not a ton in my mind. I'm going to take the Lions to the last part of the money line parlay. It's concerning the way they played the last couple of weeks. They better find an answer for Cortland Sutton. They can't let him wreck the game. That defense is going to have to, if they get into a shootout, I don't think Denver can keep up with them. but the Lions actually have to put together the offensive plays against an improving Denver defense in order to do that. Like Denver's defense obviously was the worst in football for most of the year, but a lot of that had to do with the fact they gave up 70 points in a game.
That is
So
actually
it
not.
take-
This was a Kevin Cole thing. I think I was telling this to you even last week when I did that show with Kevin Cole to fill in for the Sunday night show that we didn't do. That a lot of Denver's like really terrible defensive numbers. Yeah, if you look at points per game, obviously the 70 is going to be a problem. But a lot of what happened to them in terms of defensive rating, the Jets game hurt them more than the Dolphins game did because the Dolphins were rated as a very good offense, where the
Sure.
Jets had like one of the worst offenses in the league, and they still gave up a ton of points. Like when you weight things, it's not input in, input out, like point for point. It's who scored those points, how did they score those points. So that was really the nadir for them, was that Jets game defensively.
I buy that completely. And ever since they though kind of come off by, they have looked different. They have looked better. It sizes up for a very interesting ball game, and certainly the game I'm least confident in of these three. That's for sure. But I don't know. I feel like the Lions are going to get off the mat. They're going to score a bunch of points, and they're going to win this one close. And Russell will make a mistake or two.
So you're taking Detroit.
I am going to take Detroit, but not nearly as confidently as I want the Bengals or Colts. That's for sure.
I guess, Jeff, it really depends on what we've seen from the Broncos defense. They've been a lot of bend, don't break. Their defensive strategy and their offensive strategy kind of mirror each other in a very bizarre way, but they're still not great at stopping the run. And if there's a team you don't really like against the Dolphins, that would be really bad if they can start running downhill on you. Because, although they're not the fastest team of all time, I hear they're quick, at least, if we can put it that way. Detroit's kind of built very similarly. They have a lot of fast players. And when Gibbs and Montgomery can both get going at the same time, A, they're tough to stop. And B, it just takes the pressure off of Jared Goff, who we know he has his struggles outdoors, but he's just been struggling basically since the Chargers game now.
Yeah, I don't really have, despite this being a super lock contender for me, I don't really have a ton more to add than Tim did. Although Detroit, in thinking it's a nice spot for them, hasn't really worked out in some big scene games like a home opener, like a Thanksgiving. I do believe this is Detroit gets off the mat. I think they win this one. I think they win it comfortably. And all I really could add is something to take note is this is Denver's third straight home game, a road game. There's a long-standing trend here. Let me find it. I should have been prepared in this situation. Underdogs in their third straight road game, 61-78 against the spread. Almost as far back as any database would go. This is from Walter Football. I really do like the Lions. The Lions here. Yes, Denver beats KC and Buffalo, so this is kind of a moot point, but they haven't played anyone. Houston was able to move the ball on them quite easily, and the other teams they've played lately don't have a pulse at quarterback when they played them.
Okay. I mean, I can see Detroit blowing them out in this game. It's just the way that Denver's been playing, coinciding with how poorly both. It was one thing when the offense was still rolling that the defense was bad because they could just get into a shootout and score everyone. But even in that Saints game, like the Saints gave the ball away, they got up 21-0 really quickly based on how poorly the Saints were playing. Then the rest of the game, maybe they put it on cruise control, but. And when the Saints start piling points on you, that's never a good thing. I think Denver's going to be able to score here, and it becomes like a track meet again. Because the defense has just been so bad.
Yeah, horrible. The metrics, they're like ranked 27th and worse in almost every category since maybe
Makes
it
sense.
might
be the Chargers game, but it's around then.
Let's go to Sunday. Chicago at Cleveland. Cleveland is a 3.5-point favorite at home. 37.5 is the over-under at the moment. The coin in this game, because the coin's in second place. We always forget to say his picks. You can always find the cheat sheet either in the newsletter or I end up tweeting it out. But you can always find it in the newsletter. Mayo Media, free to subscribe to, down in the description right now, is going with Cleveland at home here. It looks like the defense. I mean, we've talked about Cleveland's defense at home, although was a bit problematic against a real gimped up Trevi. They did get to 27 points, and they had a chance to get it within 2 or within 1. They decided to try to get within 2 and end up within 4 in that game to try their onside kick. But the offense has kind of been moving with Joe Flacco. He hasn't really made a ton of mistakes yet, and it feels like that game is going to come for him. I don't know if it's going to be this one, but to take a look at how the Bears defense is constituted at the moment, they're getting to the quarterback with, without blitzing, which is kind of huge. And their run defense has been really good. So if you can pressure Flacco and take away their ability to get the ball moving on the ground, Geoff, I think I like Chicago plus 3.5.
Yeah, there is a lot to like about Chicago. I don't know if I'm going to get there on this one, although that Browns defense, Pat, you've kind of been highlighting it for a while.
The big play. And Fields might break off 2 80-yard runs in this game.
Yeah, but it's just like they sometimes have issues stopping, not even the greatest teams. Like the Broncos, for example, at times were moving the ball quite well on them. I'm still going to take Cleveland here at home. It's probably the right time to play against Joe Flacco. There does seem to be a bit of a public hype around him at the moment. It is a fun, feel-good story. I like Cleveland here, though. Chicago, interesting. I mean, how many wins saves Eberflus's job? It's I expect them to win a couple games going home, so I wouldn't be shocked if they win here.
Well, this is one thing where Fields has looked significantly better since coming back from the injuries when Bajan was playing. And their offense has looked a bit more explosive. He's running a lot more on designed runs since that injury. I think it's almost doubled. It was like 7 a game. Now he's up to like 13 a game or something like that. And it's been very effective. I do worry, Tim, that this is the game where Justin Fields turns back into Justin Fields, where he has the 2 explosive plays, but then he turns the ball over 5 times.
Yeah, I feel like I'm being trapped because that hook makes it so attractive to take Chicago. But then that hook was attractive last week with the Eagles, and Dallas won by 1 million, and I resisted it. I can certainly understand me looking at the card and thinking I took Justin Fields on the road against the Browns defense. What's wrong with me? But I'm going to take the Bears. I think the Bears have a real chance to win this game. Sweat has been a big game changer for that defense. He's been very effective. The Bears have a very thin path to make the playoffs, but it's plausible. I mean, it requires them to win all their games, which is certainly doable given their schedule if they play well.
I like that you've basically just conceded that the Bears have a better chance of making the playoffs than the 7-6 Vikings, based on the 2 comments that you've made about both teams.
I think that the Bears have a very slim chance. I don't think it's going to happen because I think they still need a lot of help outside of their own control. But one thing that's required is them to win all their games. I would pick the Bears against the Vikings head straight up. I mean, they played a couple weeks ago and the Bears won. It was in Minnesota. Yeah, I'll take the Bears, and it's a great spot to tease because I don't think the Browns can blow them out. So I'm going to tease the Bears up. It's a 5-team, 7-point teaser this week for Sunday, and the Bears are the first part of it.
So Chicago up to 10.5?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah,
Probably a good bet.
I mean, fundamentally, I think that is a good game to tease up a lower total, a team that still can score points just based on a big play, kind of the kryptonite of this defense. The one thing would be that if Fields goes full Fields here, he might give the Browns 14 points.
Yeah. It's a risk. That's not. I am a little anxious about that defense, but the Browns defense has looked a little more human the last several weeks. So
Flacco beating someone by 10 points.
We'll see.
That's how you would tease the game.
Yeah, one of the other reasons that I like the Bears is more of a maybe Fields will win 4 in a row here. Fields will just look amazing down the stretch. And then obviously they can't take a quarterback at number 1. And then it turns out it was the wrong choice all along. And the Chicago gets saddled again with not having their franchise quarterback just to watch someone else. Wouldn't that be how this works for Bears fans?
Yes. I do think, to Jeff's point about Eberflus, I actually think he's done a very good job with this team. This team could have spiraled out of control very quickly. And he's got them playing pretty good football right now. I think he's probably earned another year the way that the defense has responded. So
Did you know that?
It is interesting.
I
wouldn't fire him.
Did you know that Stefanski is down to 14-1 for Coach of the Year, Geoff?
He's doing
Yeah,
it.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's playing with 4 quarterbacks. He's lost
Mhm.
Nick Chubb. There's numerous injuries on their offensive line. It was 22-1 before last night, but the McDaniels loss, I'm telling you, that Dolphins loss, it affected that market. And it also, as Tim mentioned, Hamlin went to his literally post-death number again after Tua's performance last night, and there's probably no coming back from it unless Aaron Rodgers plays. But would they vote for him, or the old guy off the bench in the pickup game schooling everyone in town and Joe Flacco runs the table? He could, I think, enter the conversation, but it's smarter people would have probably stop. Whatever, yeah.
That's my favorite of the bunch.
I still believe the Trump. Well, me personally, the Trump one is like my favorite.
Are you gonna get?
I could send.
Well,
I could send that out on Christmas cards.
You
Like, I like
could,
it so
but
much.
Tim was very excited today. Now that Trump digital cards are coming back, we might have to do an digital unboxing for Trump NFTs that Cust.
No, my favorite part that made me laugh was that you're going to be able to get, maybe there'll be like an opportunity break style to win a piece of the suit he was wearing in the mugshot, and all I could think of was Jeff's card that had the Rose Bowl patch on it.
I'm in the market.
Fields.
Hear me out. I am now gonna make. I haven't bought anything since the rookie year. If the market wants to bottom out, I will double down.
On
Maybe
Trump,
not
on
like a-
Trump cards or Herbert cards?
Oh, I don't know. on Herbert's, I will buy some gem. I'll flip the switch. If people need to unload some gems, I will be interested in purchasing them if the market is bottoming out.
Did you
Yeah, I
enjoy?
would.
Did you enjoy Cust bringing up the Fields for Herbert trade?
I was shocked by it.
It's not a real
What
thing.
is that
No one in their right mind would make that trade.
Sorry,
I
it
don't
wouldn't
think
be
Fields was
Fields
part of
for
it. I actually-
Herbert.
no,
It would
Fields
be.
wouldn't be part of it. No.
I feel like it would be Herbert for the number 1 pick. And I told Tim, like, you go to parts of the internet where they do fan fiction, and I don't try to play in those waters. Asking me about hypothetical nonsense is a waste of everyone's time. I can address the Bears. If they didn't own the Carolina pick, there would be no discussion whatsoever about moving on from Justin Fields. Like,
But they
zero
do. But they
discourse.
do own it.
But they do. And that has to be fully evaluated. I want to tell you, I believe Drake May will be taken ahead of Caleb Williams.
I can see it.
That would make sense. Then Caleb Williams could fall to the Patriots because the Jets will pass on them because they have Aaron Rodgers. And then all of a sudden, all the bad things Tim said about Caleb Williams will just manifest themselves in New England. And he'll be a Hall of Famer.
Well,
was
the
a great
the
week.
Jets can't take a quarterback. They can't make Aaron upset. You know what happened the last time a team drafted a quarterback in the first round when he was on the team? It ruined the relationship.
He'd win an MVP. He's only got 1 or 2 years left.
Yeah, I just don't want to upset him. Let him do what he wants.
Yeah, you are like in an abusive relationship with Aaron Rodgers now. You just, let him.
That's
do it.
just like
he came home drunk. The car's parked sideways. It's all right though. He just has to get some sleep. He's a great man.
I've already conceded when we brought him aboard that he was basically going to be calling all the tunes for the next couple of years, and I'm willing to put up with that because the alternative of not having a superstar quarterback is just well, we've seen it this year. It's a cost benefit analysis, and I'm willing to just put up with the nonsense for the next year or two. So it is. I mean, in some ways, maybe him being hurt gives him an extra year in his career by not taking a bunch of hits this season. I don't know.
Are you
The
scared?
Dolphins.
Hold on. Are you scared that Rodgers, let's say he does come back on Christmas Eve or that week and he plays against the Commanders? Are you scared that he's going to get hurt again?
Sure, but if he plays, it's because he wants to play and the doctors cleared him. So whatever, man. Let him do what he wants. It's better to let him play and risk it than not let him play and have to listen to him criticize the team, indirectly or directly, and put
think
up
he's
with
right.
the whining. It's just, you know what? It's just better to let him have what he wants. In life, sometimes it's just better to let somebody have what they want if it's not that important than like make a fuss about it.
If the Jets don't let him prove how smart he is,
Exactly.
it will not only ruin his Christmas, he'll hold that all off season. And I guess to Tim's point, yes, it could all backfire, but the only chance we have at our ultimate goal is him being happy with the team and almost like wants to be all in the offseason again with the receipt. Like that's the only chance the Jets have in the big picture. So you almost have to take the risk of not having him literally whine about it for 6 months, which we all believe he would if he believes he's healthy to play.
100%. You just put up with it. Let him do what he wants.
The
Just easier that
Patriots
way.
winning because you could debate what you wanted, but I was thinking about you. The Patriots win, maybe one more win can get them out of like a scenario where they can get Williams or May.
Well, they play the Jets.
And the
That's
Dolphins-
that's an automatic win for the Patriots. Zach Wilson can't beat the Patriots.
It has been historically.
And the Dolphins, I don't want to say, I mean, essentially your fear factor that they could win the Super Bowl
Gone now.
gone. Like, so that really in the big picture for you must have been it was a good football week. And the Jets
And the Jets playing great and winning. Yeah, I felt like it was a really positive week for me.
Paul?
Letting Aaron do what he wants puts such luminaries as Dalvin Cook, Alan
Cobb.
Lazard, and Randall Cobb on your roster. Like,
Yeah, but
maybe,
you know what?
maybe
Randall
you should
Cobb will play
pull
great on
the
Sunday.
reins in. Yeah, he had one good game for
Ran-
the whole season. He
Randall,
stinks.
hold on.
knows if that-
Randall
those guys might
Cobb.
have been
Randall
good with
Cobb admitted after the game he wasn't even supposed to be on the field for the play, but Garrett Wilson was too tired from running too many routes.
Xavier Gibson should probably be playing more, but you have these Goombas playing.
Whatever, man. You don't know what it would look like if Rodgers was running the.
No,
Cook.
you got to rein that in
Dalvin
a
Cook is
little.
burned.
You have no
Dalvin-
chance. Pat, I'll answer this for you, Tim. Sorry, as your counsel. You have no chance of reining in Rodgers this offseason to not do that again. Maybe to cut these guys if he's in his grumpy mood. If you let him play that game, then that's like the give and take of
There's
him
no
not being
there-
able to
no,
run the
there's
management
no
this
take.
free agency.
There's no take. It's just give when it comes to Aaron Rodgers.
And I'm here to say, let him have what he wants. What's the point of putting restrictions? We did it to ourselves by drafting horrible quarterbacks at 2 and at 3 in the last 5 years. So this is the price you pay for greatness. Is that
Tim,
you
how
just
many-
have to put up with it.
I don't know
You
what
gotta-
I don't know what I want more for next season. For Rodgers to come out and be like an MVP type candidate, and like the Jets get the 1 seed, they're awesome, and then somehow he gets hurt in the first play of the playoffs, and Zach Wilson's back in, which would just be hilarious. Or he just is a 41-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles tear, and he fucking sucks.
I'll take my chances.
I haven't seen Tim roll over to another man like this since he put the mincemeat pie back at the grocery store that one time. My God, Tim. You're just getting bullied
Look,
by
it's
Aaron
just-
Rodgers. I mean, if he was behind your offensive line right now, you'd blow his Achilles again. You need
gonna have
Zach.
more
You need Zach's mobility right now. I think
No,
that's,
it's like
that's
having
big
a
concern.
very difficult. It's like having a very, very difficult actor on the set of your low budget movie, and you don't know how you landed this superstar actor to play the role in your movie. But like the one thing you can't have happen is him leave. So whatever the talent wants, it can the talent can have, as long as he helps make the movie. That's the way I feel about this.
So like when James Caan does a Frank D'Angelo project,
Well, I'm sure. Like
I believe you will have had more starting quarterbacks this year than I will have had in 20 years once Easton
believe it.
starts on Thursday.
I believe it. But whatever, man. Like the only path to greatness is through Aaron Rodgers right now. So I want to do everything I can to make him as happy as possible, because if he's happy, he'll play well. But like I also don't have high expectations for next year anymore. Like what's the point?
Oh,
It'd be
please.
fun if they were a 1 seed.
Please.
Look,
Then
I'll
what
be
do you
happy.
care about
I'll enjoy
placating
it.
Rodgers?
I'll enjoy it. It'll be
One-
fun. But I'm done like getting over my skis. Like
You're
if they
full of shit.
You say this
You're full,
every
like-
year. Every
Rodgers
year.
throws a spiral. Rodgers looks half human. If he plays week 17 or 18, you'll change your tune. If Rodgers doesn't play, and there's literally one video in like March of him running and throwing, like moving sideways and releasing the football, you will be telling us you're winning 12 games.
I think I've learned a lesson from this season.
Well, put it
I've
this
had a
way.
lot of time to
you,
think.
you saw Rodgers, I forget what game it was, when he went onto the field and started throwing the ball around. And the mic you were normally using, you ejected all over that, and we had to get you a new one. And that was just for him going onto the field, not even playing. Imagine
well, I
if
was surprised
he
how
plays.
quickly he was healing. I hope he does play. I'm here for that.
Okay.
Let's see it.
Kevin O'Connell, KOC, Geoff, 30-1 coach of the year right now. They have the Ander curse working against them too, like four of them. Nick Mullins, Kevin O'Connell.
Did we talk about coach of the year last week?
We did, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we
did.
I talked about Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah, I
Dan
just
Campbell
don't
still the betting favorite.
It's still so stupid how this award can be like a multi-year achievement award.
It's not. Dan Campbell, listen, especially with the spiral, that like, if Detroit wins out, then yeah, it probably is Dan Campbell. If they lose this week to Denver, like he can't be the favorite anymore.
But that's what I mean. The fact that he's still a favorite. He has not done a better coaching job this year than the talent-depressed Colts and Texans. He's not starting four quarterbacks like Stefanski. He's not putting up, like, I don't understand. Like, whatever.
Well, I think
it's like market influence, but I don't
it's
think
not
it's
though.
real.
I think it's telling us that one of these guys that's currently like 20-1 or beyond is super live.
Like with Daboll last year, this was probably the exact week me and Tim yelled at each other. He took Campbell at like 1 plus 180, and we took Daboll like in the 20s or something.
It's there for someone, be it Kevin O'Connell, Zach Taylor is 22-1. It's probably not going to be Mike McCarthy, but Stefanski, Peyton or Shanahan, they're at lower odds at plus 950 and 10-1. Just because when you look at the four favorites right now, Campbell, who knows? He is the favorite. And like I said, if Detroit wins out, it's probably going to be him. But if they hit a few stumbling blocks, then they're like below their win total. That's probably not going to happen. I have no idea how long Stroud might be out for. Maybe he plays this week, but I doubt it. And D'Amico Ryans probably kind of falls off the table a little bit if the Texans don't make the playoffs. Same with Shane Steichen. The Colts have been not great the past few weeks. Going back to that Patriots game, like scoring 10 points, needing the 2 block kicks, losing to the Bengals. And then you have Mike McDaniel. I mean, basically Cust has buried them, and he's at plus 450. So if none of those 4 guys win, I'm not going to be super stunned, which means that like 8 other guys are now available that are in the running, I think at least.
Yeah, Eileen Stefanski. 4 quarterbacks. His like all pro running back is out. The offensive line is all hurt. That would be the Stefanski or outside of Steichen, who I think probably will. Yeah, I mean that so deprived of talent on that roster from the expectation. To give it to Dan Campbell as a 3-year achievement, like that's almost an insult to Detroit.
And with
It's
the
almost an insult. It's almost an insult.
With the Vikings, like they would have to sweep the Lions, I think, and win that division. They win that division after losing Cousins, having the worst defense in football last year, and on their 4th quarterback. It's a pretty good look.
Yeah, I agree. And I love Dan Campbell. He's great for football. But to give it, like, it just makes, I know it's going to be turned into a thing. I'm anti-Campbell. Love Campbell. I'd give a fucking nut for him to be my coach, probably.
Battle of the Bays. Tampa Bay at Green Bay. Packers favored by 3.5 coming off a Monday night loss to the New York Giants. I like the Packers here, minus 3.5. Just these NFC South teams take like the underdog against the other NFC South teams, and against they're playing like any other division. Just take the team from the other division. Nice rebound spot, even on a short week for the Packers, I think. So I'll take Green Bay minus 3.5. Tim.
And Mike Martindale.
My opinion is exactly the same as Pat's. Packers minus 3.5. The same reasons.
And I might have to martingale the Packers to get my super lock money back from last week, and it's a perfect spot. Tampa in the cold, this 3.5, I will lay the hook. I will lay the hook.
Here's the problem. Like, I'm not super duper confident in it, mainly because, I mean, I don't know if Love is good or not, but it's going to be difficult. We just saw that they were pretty unable to run the ball on the Giants at all. And that's something now that Tampa Bay got healthier last week. Like, if Atlanta can't really run the ball on you, I really doubt that even if Aaron Jones comes back, that the Packers are going to be able to run the ball. And then it's just, it's Mike Evans who's allowed to pass interfere and Cade Otton and versus the Packers passing game. Like, this could very well be a field goal game. And Tampa has, like, good luck this season. Just the Mo is on their side, I think.
I think it's an overreaction to last night. I think the Packers are much better, and a lot of our long-term fans will know there is like a loaded chamber to my head as the Bucks win again, and they're at 6 wins, and the season win total is under 6.5. So,
I mean,
don't
forget that they have to play Carolina again.
At least that one is in Carolina, but yeah,
great.
I'm aware.
Do they get to play someone else in Carolina that's not the Panthers?
Could the Raiders winning this week, with the Raiders winning this week, Geoff, and the Bucks winning this week,
the alt under, the Raider real bet is like 7 or 7.5. That's like the heavy piece with like the actual bet. That's a fun alt under.
Okay.
Something else. I would actually rather swallow that alt under. I would eat that loss so fast to give the Chargers the loss, if you feel what I'm saying there.
I do.
Well, I actually got paid out on my my gold pick from the season future show. Carolina under wins, Geoff. It cashed.
I'm not gonna lie. I play these futures on the streeter. Just because, like, who wants to go out of pocket? Like,
so you have to wait till the end of the year to get paid?
No, I'm just saying, like, I haven't put out the money. Like, I wish I already put out the money for these bets because that would have happened in August or September. Now the money'd be gone. I haven't paid for the bets yet.
So you're playing on credit. Yeah, you're playing on credit.
Yeah, I'm playing on the streeter. So I hope when these teams lose, I hope they just grade them all like in the new year and not like if Tampa Bay wins this week, I don't want to see like, oh, there's like 1,800 also. Like, I'd rather that just happen in the new year.
Yeah, you don't have to meet up with Paulie in the car and see if there's anyone
Dude,
in the backseat.
I know you and Cam.
That was the good old days. That was when it was right.
You and Cam agreed it was maybe one of the funniest, best shows you guys did, and I can account. Like, I was there. Cam, he had to either like step out for a few minutes to go behind the gas station on Spadina or meet me at Lakeshore. He'd come back,
That's a popular that SO on Lakeshore, popular spot for random meetups, by the way.
Okay, yeah, of all kinds.
Of all kinds.
Of all kinds in the downtown core. I guess maybe it's because it's just like easy access to
Oh yeah, it's an intersection of a lot of highways. It's easy to get to. Yeah. It's out of the way.
But yeah, so Cam, it's either he had to go to the bank to get an envelope to hand over, or he is getting the envelope. But needless to say, you knew Cam, like that affected the vibe, and that was real. Like that was real.
It's less about easy access and more lots of escape routes to get away.
There you go. Paul knows.
Yeah. Been there.
Texans at Titans. The Titans are favored by 2.5 in this game, coming on a short week. Guessing it's Davis Mills at quarterback. I mean, this line suggests that it's Davis Mills at quarterback for the Texans right now. 38 is the over-under. No Nico Collins, more than likely. Obviously, no Tank Dell. No idea if Dalton Schultz is going to play Tim. Texans are not looking great at the moment.
No, the clock has, unfortunately, I believe, struck midnight. And as such, in division, I'm going to take the Titans, who, if they could ever just get their special teams figured out, would have, at least one extra win, maybe more. Yeah, it's been the Houston story's been a lot of fun, but the injuries are just compounding beyond belief, and they sort of have like they've hit the top of what they could have possibly done. A lot of people thought they wouldn't win 3 games this year, right? They've won 7. That's remarkable that this team has taken a big step forward to the point where, like, I think they'll be pretty reasonable favorites or co-favorites with Jacksonville to be the AFC South champion next year. I might lean their way too, fully healthy, but not this week. No, I think the Titans get this done. So I'm going to take Tennessee.
I'm going to take Tennessee as well, -2.5, Geoff. Although this does seem like a scenario where the world will step in front of Tennessee and then Houston just wins the game outright. Just 6-3, 10-7, something stupid like that. Because everything just points to Tennessee, except, playing on a short week ain't nothing.
No, it is not nothing, but that's not Landy's short week. Oh, what a plane ride that must have been home. You go, they go to the office they're happy to be going back to work. Like, it is a vibe. But you're not wrong. It can always be fishy, and the whole world watched it, and it could be a love affair. That being said, Pat, Titans. They haven't played the Texans this year. We've seen that a bit in the division. That teams still have twice. You've mentioned Minnesota, Detroit. 4-2 at home this year. They've been outstanding at home, no matter the class of opponent. The 2 losses at home. The Ravens, well, that's the best team in the conference. The other one,
That game was in London.
boom, 4-1 at home. I was just looking at the schedule. You're right. So 4-1 at home, and the only loss at home was OT to the Colts. So
In a game they really should have won.
If they could have just kicked an extra point or not had 2 punts blocked.
So this is actually an easy one, but you're right. You're scared that they're special. Like, it could get stupid. It's almost scary how simple this one feels. Because it's a team, like, they're going to win at least. I think they're going to play 500 ball now the rest of the year. Young quarterback. They're not tanking for nothing. They win. This could be a super lock, other than it feels scary.
Well, it feels
they seem like a team that's going to land this plane and be really, looking really good going into next year.
There is an out here too, though. Like, it's -2.5. What if Stroud is just starting on Sunday?
Oy.
Then you're stuck there with 2.5, being like, "Ooh boy,"
Because you're on the wrong side, but.
And that's been a low pro talking point in the last couple of weeks, Pat. As in the first part of the year, no offensive player who missed the weren't clearing protocol. Now as the games get more important, and I've got some Dolphin fans that are very angry at this double standard of this concussion protocol now. Because if something happens to him, the whole world will freak out. But there's a lot of other people doing a lot of funny business with protocol. For whatever reason, for whatever that's worth. So you're right. The fact that this is such a big game, the Texans are in the playoff race, wouldn't be shocked if Stroud gets they play around with protocol.
We'll see. Because I don't love that. Listen, the Titans could definitely lose the game to the Texans with Davis Mills starting at quarterback. These aren't, without Stroud, the Texans aren't a great team. The Titans are mediocre at best at the moment. So it's still probably a coin flip situation. Just you really, especially even without Simmons and the pressure they were able to generate. And even when you take a look at how both defenses are constituted, that if you want to beat the Titans, you need to pass all over them. If you need to beat the Texans, you need to pass all over them. Well, it doesn't seem like either team. You'd say that Tennessee probably has the better chance of doing that this week if Mills is playing on the other side. And even the out of, hey, can Mills turn around? They can run the ball 35 times. Well, the Titans still do have a top 5 run defense, and it's even better at home. So, yeah, I'll go Titans. Coin is going Houston, though. Jets and Miami.
I want to. Oh.
What? What do you want to say?
People mocked some people, although Patriots fans reached out to me to say they agreed with my assessment that of how the season would be a success under certain circumstances.
Oh, we're talking about the Chargers again?
No, the Patriots, I said. To me, the Houston Texans, they will finish so high. They don't even have to make the playoffs. They don't have to win another game. On my end of season franchise success rankings, I don't think they'll be outside the top 6.
There's a show. We'll do Jeff's best season power rankings after the Super Bowl.
No, and I think Tim should do it too. Tim should do his own, because just finding the franchise quarterback And the fact that the first round pick they trade, Will Anderson is a star.
He got hurt last week too.
His pressure rates compare against some of the best rookie star defensive ends that have come into the league in the last few years. And the fact that they're going to win 7-8 games and hand over 16, 17, 18th overall for the guy, that ends up being an amazing trade. They found their franchise quarterback. They're going to be so high. They're going to be as high as some teams who lose in the conference title games on my end of season rankings.
It is funny that everyone essentially mocked that trade because it was so much to give up for a non-quarterback, what they gave to Arizona for the third pick. And everyone did, I mean, rightfully mock it too, even to go back. Like I would probably, not obviously knowing what I know now about it, but just to go back to it, just not like my opinion would change on it. Yet no one mocked Carolina for really trading up for number one. And those two trades couldn't be looking more different at the moment.
Yeah. It's unfathomable. As Tim would say, he likes to add a definitive gap in his polling. Carolina is definitive gap, like dead last in that ranking. Like there's no coming out of the hole that they created for themselves this year, at least in terms of that poll.
Jets in Miami.
Or real life.
Next game up. Dolphins by 9, 39.5 at home. With all these offensive line injuries, and maybe the game plan changes for the Dolphins, because it does look like Tyreek is going to play, but as Tim pointed out, it's not like he's absolutely been tearing up the Jets in any sort of situation. That they need to find a way or change their scheme, knowing that there's not going to be a lot of time for, like, they were already speeding up the offense and getting the ball out quickly for Tua. Well, they need to either speed it up some more or try something completely different. Maybe they start activating extra tight ends for extra blockers, but this is a bad defense to be going against. One that can generate pressure. I guess the one kryptonite here, Tim, is the thing that's been plaguing the Jets most of the year on defense is that the Dolphins have exactly the right personnel for bubble screens and dump offs to beat the Jets D.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not worried about the Dolphins' offense at all. This all comes down to will Zach Wilson throw the game away? Because can he play 2 really good games in a row? At least for him, I don't know that he can. I think the Jets' defense is every bit as good as the Dolphins' offense, and with the injuries, I think the Jets' defense probably has a slight edge. So I'm not worried about that side of the game. I'm really worried about Dolphins' defense up against Wilson and how he plays. Will he get the ball into the hands of his playmakers? Or will he not? That's what would concern me. He can't turn the ball over. The Jets played the Dolphins pretty tight for most of a game with Tim Boyle under center. So if Zach can just play halfway decent, the Jets are very live in this game for a W, let alone a cover. But this game could go completely sideways if Zach is trying to get aggressive and force balls in and Ramsey takes one back, or Xavier Howard gets lucky between various pass interferences that he's trying to commit and he picks off a ball, or Bradley Chubb gets in there for that inevitable fumble that comes every week with Zach. This game completely revolves around whether Zach Wilson loses the game or not for the Jets. If he can just play steady, the Jets are very live, and I'm going to take the +9. But you can't tease this game because this game could get completely out of control. It's a bad teaser game, so we'll just take the Jets +9 and go on our way.
The move here, Geoff, I think, is go into the prop market. You can always go to runthesims.com, code Mayo, get yourself the prop sniper for $12 a week if you want to bet some props. But I would just think that A-Chain and Mostert over rushing attempts is the play in this game. I'm going to take Miami -9 because with this line move 3.5 points since Monday night. And I agree, it's not a great situation. The Jets defense could absolutely wreck Miami. But I think that we do forget, as Tim kind of pointed out, Miami's also a top 10 defense. And, Zach playing 2 games well in a row, maybe a bit of an outlier situation here that Miami can still figure out a way to, with a full game plan, knowing their personnel and what they can do and how they can attack this Jets defense. They just throw one turnover in there somewhere along the line, and all of a sudden Miami's running away with this game at home. So I like Miami here -9, and yeah, -9, not even 9.5, 9. Geoff.
Yeah, at this point, it makes me feel like almost got to take the 3.5 points. Although Zach Wilson maybe could execute the deep crosses that the Dolphins could not cover. And maybe there are some teams that feel silly for not believing that Hopkins had that life in them, because there's a lot of playoff bound receiving cores that would love to have what we saw last night on their rosters out of Hopkins. But the Jets might have the personnel to do that on offense. I'm wild. I haven't picked against the Dolphins in forever. I'm so stupid to admit this. Tim talked me into it.
So you're going with the Jets +9.
Yeah, Tim talked me into it.
All right.
Dolphins are going to win by 10, and the good number folk will get it. And yeah,
You realize too that Tim came on to start the show talking about, Zach Wilson looked good, the Jets are great, Miami the worst performance
shit.
of all
Thank you,
time.
Paul.
That all of a sudden, I'm Pat, but all of a sudden Miami
You're
wins by
right.
like 50 points.
I switch. Thank you for just fair and balanced laying out the facts of what actually just occurred today. Cole's Notes version. I'm on Miami.
I already wrote
He
it down
said
in
to have
pen
the
that you're
worst
on the
game
Jets.
ever. No, it doesn't matter. I switch.
Okay,
And
John
moved on.
Kerry.
Swift boat Fienberg.
He was
Miami-
for the Jets before he was against them.
That's right. Can't trust a word he says. Kansas City and New England. New England's a 9.5-point dog at home against this, the failing Kansas City Chiefs. 37 is the over-under. I don't know. I like the Chiefs to cover the 9.5 on the road. I know the Patriots D has been really good, but after watching how Kansas City went at shutting down the Bills receiving core, especially after the first few drives of the game where the Bills had to resort to throwing bubble screens to Gabe Davis, which didn't work, to Diggs, which didn't work, to Shakir, which didn't work. That's the Patriots' entire offense. There are those plays exclusively that if Kansas City can just shut that down, Bailey Zappi looked good for 17 minutes on Thursday night, and they will have the extra rest, but I don't know if they can get to 10 points against Kansas City. If they can't get to 10 points, feel pretty comfortable that Kansas City can get to 14. So I'll take Kansas City.
Chiefs, when they were at their best, weren't covering big numbers like this, even against bad teams. 17-10 Kansas City. That means the Patriots cover.
Coin likes New England as well, Geoff.
I'm with you, Pat. I'm taking the Chiefs here.
Such a square pick. Oh my God, it's the Chiefs, and they're not even laying 10 against the worst team in the AFC. Got to take the Chiefs. It's an incredibly square pick.
Oh,
I took New England last week, getting those 5 points.
Last week it was a sharp play. This week it's a very square play to play the Chiefs.
Rarely. There's the Chiefs lost that week. They won't lose 2 in a row.
They've lost three.
lose.
They've lost 3 of 4. It's just, can the Patriots score any points on this defense? I don't think that they can.
The Chiefs don't score anymore.
I think they could score more than 10.
But to cover 9.5, they're going to have to score
10.
20 at least.
Do you think that the Patriots get to 10? Would you like to bet on that?
I think it'll be I told you, I think it'll be a 17-10 game.
All right. Well, would you like to? I would like to take the under of 10 points on the New England Patriots.
Okay, we'll have to discuss later then.
We'll do $100.
What mistakes? I don't want to bet $100. I don't want to, so no.
So coward.
Sorry.
A lot of tough talk from you, by the way.
I don't know if it was tough talk. I wasn't
Tough
the one
talk.
asking for a bet.
Tough talk.
Just thought it was going to be I think it's going to be a 17-10 game.
Giants at New Orleans. Oh God. New Orleans is favored
really
by
good about this.
New Orleans is favored by 6. 37.5 is the over/under. Give me the. I really want to take the Saints, but they're so bad. I'll take the Giants. Anyone else can go.
Saints. This is talk. I don't understand.
Because the Saints are terrible. That's why.
So are the Giants.
Exactly. You have
Come
two.
on.
You have two terrible teams playing each other, and one of them has to win by almost a touchdown.
Yeah, but come on. This Tommy Cutlets thing. Geoff was maybe ahead of the curve. I give him his credit from last week. We sort of made fun of him But like we were wrong and he was right. That actually is now what people are saying.
What do you mean
So,
he was wrong? We were right. We were right. We took the Giants, or I took the Giants.
no. He was right about the media narrative and the conversation and what's taking over sports talk.
Today,
Like,
yeah,
Geoff was right about
today. So yeah,
even yesterday, the day, like Geoff was right. So I give him his due. He was right about this. We were wrong. But like they've won 3 games in a row, and yes, they're very well coached, and yes, their defense has been playing good football. But come on, they're not gonna. I just don't think they're gonna win 4 straight games.
we just made the
I think
point
this is a
earlier
sla-
in the
I think it's a
show
slam dunk for the Saints.
when we picked Green Bay over Tampa Bay. It's take the NFC South team underdog against whoever they're playing within their division, and don't take them against anyone else. Now you're immediately going against that.
The Giants are so bad, though. Yes, I am going against it. I'm
I
going to take
feel,
the
I
Saints.
feel
If
like
the Saints are at home.
I feel like you don't watch the Saints every week. Are these one of the teams that you don't watch?
I
They're
watch the
terrible.
Saints.
They're terrible.
I mean, I don't think they're great, but I think they are significantly better than New York.
At what?
Well, whatever, man. I don't have to defend myself. I like the Saints here. I like the Saints.
It's a simple question.
I
What
think-
what do the Saints do better than the Giants at this point?
Well, if we look at the numbers, like the Saints have a better offense, the Saints have a much better defense. So, everything.
Okay, so you believe everything. Let's wager money on this game then.
No, I don't want. I don't want to.
But they do everything better.
Well, you look at the advanced metrics.
Okay,
like,
then how about you watch? So you're
Saints
just
are
saying that you
13th
have
in offense.
But Tim, to use your analogy from earlier with your Tua conversation, I'm using my eyes over here. I've watched the Saints offense. They're terrible.
You think that the Giants' offense is better with
I
Landale?
think that they're about
breaking
equivalent
ones?
at this point. They're about the same. They're both
I
bad.
don't- Well, take the Giants then.
I already took the Giants.
Okay.
Jeff?
You really
Oh,
wanted
you've
to take
had-
the Saints, though. You started this by saying, I really want to take the
I do, and then I remembered the Saints. Yeah.
And then you talked yourself into,
I didn't-
got to take the Giants.
I see. I didn't talk myself into take the Giants. I remembered the Saints are terrible. There's a weird Saints. The Saints get credit every single week for being like
Saints and Falcons are much better than people think they are.
You really think that the Falcons are that much better?
Falcons are still favored to win their division.
That's
the
great.
Falcons are a really good team.
Falcons really good team. Jeff, agree or disagree?
Disagree. They actually were the one game I lost on like a 5-team parlay from the morning slate Sunday. Would have been so good, and I thought I had it.
But they're bad.
Oh, they gave so many points. They left so many points on the field. I hate that team. Okay. I'm going to preface this by saying I am like the resident Swiftie on the panel. Maybe I was a little overprotective at an earlier point in the season, but I also want that's a preface to say like the Tommy DeVito family agent, that whole thing during the broadcast is 150 times better than the Taylor Swift like camera pans. Like that's what it's about. That is what it's about. Now, this is such a hard game to pick for me because we have this team off this great emotional last second victory on Monday night on the short week versus Pat. What's the spread? 5-6? What are you guys arguing about? 6. The Saints -6. Derek Carr is probably the least profitable starting quarterback with a certain amount of head starts in this modern generation. And Dennis Allen is definitely the least profitable head coach against the spread of this like 2-3 year window. And to ask them to lay 6 and to actually lay it is psychotic. But I'm going to pick the Saints.
Somehow the Saints are favored by more this week than they were against Carolina last week.
Insane.
Well, that's a divisional game.
No, that's insane. That's insane.
One team is by far the worst team in the league.
I mean, yes, the Panthers are the worst team for sure. But I don't know. I still kind of like the Saints. And if it gets higher, I like the Saints still.
It seems like and it's not working because they have these wins, but why are they running Derek Carr out every single week?
Trying to get their money out of it, I suppose.
I guess so, but eventually you got to cut your costs somewhere. So, Jeff, are you taking the Giants or the Saints?
Saints.
Yeah, there you go. I'm aboard.
All right, yeah, -6 Saints. Good luck.
When the Saints go marching into a W there.
They might win. They might win by 3.
Geoff needs it. Jeff's got a big Saints division bet, so Geoff needs the Saints.
It's not big, but I could use that.
Yeah,
They got
exactly.
Hey, I could use I could use my Tampa Bay to win the division bet to come through. I picked against them this week.
Doesn't matter. They're both going to lose because Atlanta's got this thing sewn up.
Oh, this would be a fun week. Atlanta at Carolina. Maybe
They can't possibly lose this game. They can't possibly lose this game.
You just
Come
made
on.
my pick for me.
Come on.
I don't
There's
even know.
no way. They can't lose this game.
Pat, I'm on Carolina just because of that last 8 seconds.
Yeah, I'm doing Carolina as well because of that. They're only 3-point favorites. Let's tell.
They are on the road
Oh yes,
in division. Go ahead. If you think a +3 with the worst team in football is attractive, I say take it.
Is this your super lock, Tim?
it would have to be. You just
It's
called the
right
Saints
there.
one of the
It's
best
right
teams
there.
in football. They're playing one of the best teams in football is playing one of the worst teams in football, and it's 3 points. I have to think it has to be your super lock.
And
It's
there's no-
tempting.
There's no
It's
home
very-
field advantage when you are that bad in like a market like that. Like,
No,
it just
that's
doesn't even
true.
Exist.
That's true.
This is like you are walking out of the Kroger's after picking up milk and butter, and someone's got 2 tickets in their windshield, like on their wiper, saying "Take me."
This is also a matchup of a team that actively does not want to pass because their quarterback is so bad, but effectively runs the ball going up against a team that actually has a pretty good pass defense, but the worst run defense in football. Like Atlanta should smash them, but Atlanta just finds ways to make games close every week. Every week. It's unbelievable.
Carolina doesn't like to pass, Pat, unless it's 3rd or 4th and 1. Then they want to hit a 15-foot jump shot. It's unbelievable.
So we're going to
I
see
feel very say Atlanta. So
40 carries from Chuba Hubbard here. I did see, I believe this was the stat that I saw. I probably have to go back and check it, that Atlanta still only throws 35% of the time, even when they're down in games. That's insane.
does seem strange.
I mean,
But they're never down by much, right? They're never down by much because all their games are close.
I guess that's probably true. Just even that split in general, even if you were winning by less than a touchdown, seems crazy.
Does seem strange.
Well, that brings us.
I don't know. I expect Bijan to have a big game.
You say that every week.
Yeah.
He had a big game against the Jets, and they won that game.
He played nicely. It's good defense, and they found a way to win.
Well, that brings us to, I guess, past the midway point of the show, but it is time for a mini version of Cust Corner.
Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. He's got the hottest takes with the highest stakes. He should be president of the United States, but it's Cust Corner, it's Cust Corner. Cust Corner,
Can you imagine owning an air fryer that only had one drawer? Just imagine what that must be like. It's like rubbing 2 sticks together to start a fire, it must be. I joke, of course. But, yeah, so I used that air fryer today. It was pretty good. We'll say. It worked really well. I do see the need for what Paul called the coffee filter, because I don't know how to collect all the grease and stuff, so I could see why that would be valuable.
What do you
Yeah,
mean?
it's pretty cool.
Hold on. What do you mean collect all the grease?
Well, like I cooked some or residue of whatever I was cooking. I cooked some frozen jalapeno bites, not the breaded ones, like the jalapeno one that's sort of wrapped in bacon with the cream cheese, like those jalapeno. So I cooked some of those frozen ones from M&M in the air fryer today, and it was delicious. But yeah, like there is some greasiness that that drops through into the basket. So
Yeah, that takes about
I see why
30
I see why
seconds to clean.
And it did, but like if there were those filters, it's like it would be easier to have, right? I'm thinking like if I were to throw a frozen hamburger in there and cook it, let's say, I would anticipate a decent amount of grease would come off that.
It would take you 30 seconds to clean it.
All right.
Would it not?
I guess, but like, I'm just looking to like make my life a little easier.
Congrats on your air fryer and shaming. It's like when you shame people who don't have 8 TVs to watch football.
I didn't. No. I didn't shame anybody. I simply recommended, and I stand by my recommendation, that you should TVs to watch football, because once you do, you realize that that's the good life.
Watching with one TV is like having one compartment air fryer.
It's I don't know how people do the one compartment air fryer.
I
Again,
have.
You were doing
I'm
no
sort of- I'm having-
compartments up until
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I'm having
ago.
a bit of a go at people on that. But there is going to be times where, like next week, I think I'm going to be hosting like an appetizer evening for some family, and it's going to be super convenient for me to have 2 baskets to do the air frying in, because like it's going to be just super convenient. Or when I cook asparagus and a meat, to have them both going at the same time, and I have the smart function on mine, so they know when to finish at the same time together. Like that must be so difficult if you just I mean, you could air fryer everything together, but then it would touch, and that would be weird.
Well, hold on.
Better to have the
What do you
separate
mean?
compartments.
What do you mean? I mean, I like the separate compartments
I
because.
don't want one thing touching another, and maybe it gets it soggy or whatever. Or
Well, how
just-
would it get soggy
no.
in there?
It might, or like the water.
Isn't that the whole point? Is that it wouldn't get soggy? That's why you're using the
Might.
air fryer.
It just would be better to have things separate.
How excited are you to show off this sucker at your
Very,
appetizer soiree?
very actually, if I'm being honest with you, and not so much to show off it, to show off myself using it. That's what I'm looking forward to. Look how efficient I am. I cooked those jalapeno thingies in like 9 minutes today.
Multi
I was like-
sticks?
They're in the freezer. That will happen.
So
You couldn't have an app night without matzo sticks.
So I had to ask you. So you cooked them, and it took you 9 minutes, you say?
Yeah, at 400 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay. And how long would that have taken you in the oven?
A half hour.
And that includes the warm-up time for the oven?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
So when we
It has
told
made my life much easier.
when we told you this 3 months ago, 4 months ago, whenever the hell it was, and you didn't believe us, do you believe us now?
Well, yes, we had a live show every week for 3.5 months where I was cooked something from an air fryer. So I got to see firsthand the various foods that got cooked and how efficient it was. And just like I convinced Geoff to take the Jets in the Dolphins game, you folks convinced me that an air fryer was an excellent appliance. And so I got it. I loved it. I read the book all the way through today.
Wait,
to know
what?
How to use it.
Wait,
Yeah,
what?
like a video game. I took out the book, the manual, the how-to book, and I read it cover to cover before I used it, and it was great. And it
Wow.
told me to unplug all my appliances that are in the same outlet as that, which I told you need to do.
Oh yeah,
Like, it gave you safety precautions.
I totally forgot about this. So one, Geoff, I guess I quickly have to ask you: have you ever read the manual for anything ever? Because I don't think that I have.
Other than building Lego with my daughter, I'm not a manual guy ever.
2, do you know that Tim unplugs all of his appliances and lamps when he leaves his house?
I don't get that.
So his house doesn't burn down, according to him. So because your grandma told you to do this, right, Tim?
She said, "Yeah, you don't want to blow a fuse by having too many things plugged into the same and into the outlet." So I always unplug them.
Your grandmother is the only. That's like we were telling you forever. Why didn't you listen? Your grandmother is the only person you listen to without putting through a diligent testing process. Everyone else tells you to.
My wife made this comment because I told her about it last night. And she was like, Tim's grandma might be a bad influence on him.
Everything else anyone tells you, you like literally, you're like the FDA. Like you put through like such a scrutinizing process.
Because there
before
can be
you-
power surges, and you have to be careful. Things could blow. And when it comes to heating things, like a coffee machine, a kettle, like a regular coffee, like a carafe, a toaster, just for my own peace of mind, I need them unplugged in case I've left them on, just to be safe.
Do you unplug your microwave every time that you leave?
I can't reach, but in my old place, I did because I could reach the plug. I can't reach the plug in this. I'd have to take the whole microwave
Oh,
out.
so
of
so
the,
so
You
so
unplug
so,
the
sa-
TV?
so safety is only a
No.
concern for you when it's convenient for you, is what you're saying?
Well, it's not about convenience. Like if I can't reach it,
Well,
obviously.
you
that's-
could.
It's not
You could
designed
make
that way.
you could make a way. Well, why do you think it's designed that way?
I don't know. I don't even know if it's the right thing to do. I was just always taught never to leave your appliances in the kitchen plugged in when you're not using them. There's no need to have your toaster constantly plugged into the wall, or your coffee machine,
Okay.
or your kettle. You don't need them plugged in. Unplug them. It's needless. And it can overcharge the system. And it even said in my book to, when you use the air fryer, to unplug everything else that's in that outlet when you use it.
I would like to know what the difference is between, and let's say, yeah, something like a toaster, you unplug it, makes sense to me, sure, because that is something that's used to heat up. If you had a frayed cord, it could fray and the
Yes.
surge through it. But wouldn't you have a larger chance of fraying the cord by constantly plugging and unplugging it
I don't think so.
rather than never touching it?
We
I
need
Paul wants to chime in on this.
I actually have more of a question. So he unplugs all of these appliances and stuff. So when you unplug your so that you're telling me that you're resetting the timer, like the actual time of day on your microwave, like 365. Oh my god!
it's just clock.
What
Bang,
about
bang.
what about? Do you have like a bedside alarm clock?
No, I don't. I
you
don't.
use
What about the
phone, I
night
guess.
light? Do you unplug that? The night light?
Yes, of course I unplug it. It
You
doesn't need
s-
to be on during the day.
You reset your microwave's time
I don't need more.
365 times in a year.
What about your oven?
I used. No, that's not a 220 circuit. That's different.
Okay.
Okay, I have a suggestion.
Stop being
Board
nuts.
of- well, that's above and beyond. And this is almost out of respect, Tim. I want you to know this comes out of respect,
Oh,
and
no.
this is Hollow Grounds, the Custy Awards, the categories, and any individuals to be included. Out of respect, I say this out of respect. I'm going to suggest we have a new category that essentially is like the craziest thing your grandmother told you.
Yeah, I mean, this one is less crazy than using dish soap to wash bananas. I shall concede
Just
that
saying.
point. Are you still
It's
washing?
just-
Are you still washing bananas with dish soap, or have you stopped that?
And I'm just rinsing them.
Look at you learning. You're like
I feel
OpenAI.
a
You're a learning computer.
well, that only learns by you putting stuff into it.
But everyone else in your inner circle, like, it's such an examination when they have a suggestion for you to make your life usually more efficient and better. It's such a back and forth. Your grandmother, it's like instant acceptance.
Yeah, like with the air fryer, it took 3.5 months of us making him food on the show for him to accept it and then realize, oh my God, this is actually a great appliance for me. Whereas with his grandmother, it's like, you should put dish soap on your bananas. He's just like, pass the palm olive right
Yeah,
now.
she's like,
she's
how
like,
couldn't that
no,
be a
it'd be
great
like-
idea?
I saw this in a Rumble thread that your friend Fienberg's in. Here's an idea. And you accept it.
My point is it's about safety. And
Well-
you don't want to break it. You don't want to blow a fuse. You don't want to cause a breaker to go off.
Tim, you live
Like,
in
you
a
don't wanna
brand new building. Do you even have access to these things to reset them? Like, this sounds like something
I don't
this
know.
sounds like advice for someone who
don't know.
lives in a home that is 100 years old.
I don't know. Most of the people,
Okay.
well, growing up, my family and my relatives did live in older houses, I suppose.
But you don't. You know, you can
I
buy,
know.
you can just buy. I mean, the move for you would be is to buy a surge protector for $20, and that way you wouldn't have to unplug everything. You could plug it all into the same thing and just turn it off when you leave.
I would still unplug it. I wouldn't feel comfortable.
It's a
can't
fucking
leave the
surge
house.
protector.
I know, but I just can't, for my own peace of mind, I need certain things to be unplugged before I leave the house.
Tim couldn't
Just
use a
do.
condom. He'd have to pull out.
This is why we
You're-
get the E
you
ratings,
are-
Geoff, on the podcast.
You are going to be Jack Nicholson and as good as it gets soon.
No, I'm not.
You're going to be stepping on like certain tiles when you leave your house. I can see it now.
I mean, I don't like stepping on tiles to begin with. like cracks. I don't like doing that, but I don't avoid it.
I think Pat nailed it. Like that. I mean, obviously, like it's almost so they won't get sued. The manual says unplug other things, but I
Exactly.
believe that's for like older houses. Like that's the fear mongering with that.
It's the fear. It's
I could be
it's the
wrong.
same way that McDonald's has to say its coffee is hot because some people apparently do not know that.
Sure, but I
Basically,
just,
all these companies are Richard Grieco in Night at the Roxbury. They just don't want to be sued.
Look, my mom and dad unplugged their appliances too.
Well, it sounds like they've been brainwashed by your grandma too.
Like they don't leave anything on the counter plugged in.
So it's a
It's like in the bathroom. You don't leave your curling iron plugged in. You don't leave your hairdryer plugged in.
Do you
dangerous.
do you often leave your curling iron plugged in, Tim?
No, I don't have one, but it's one of those things that you always want to make.
Yes, my
mother used to be very precautionary.
I would agree with
always
that.
making sure it was unplugged.
I would agree with you. You should probably unplug your curling iron. You should probably unplug your hair dryer and things like that. Things that heat up very, very quickly. But kitchen appliances are way different than bathroom appliances.
Toasters heat up very, very quickly.
Yeah, but they're also geared towards not being able to do this, where that's not really a fear if someone just leaves their curling iron plugged in for days on end.
I need these things. Anything I can unplug comfortably, I like to do. It makes me feel better.
Makes you feel like a big man.
No, I feel more comfortable knowing that I don't have a lot of things plugged in. It's the same as like when there's the thunder and lightning, I unplug everything I'm not using. Because I don't want the surge to come right through the house.
You don't even live in a house.
I know. Well, I just don't, unless I'm using the thing, because I'm not going to like not use the thing. But if I'm not using it, I unplug everything.
All right. Pro unplugging then. In pro air fryer.
Yeah,
But only
it's
with Paul. All right, so you're calling Paul like a pleb here. He's a poor because he has a one.
I didn't say that.
Paul, do you feel
didn't say
shamed
that.
by Tim?
I was going to say earlier that when he was talking about people who only have one slot for their air fryer and how could they live like that, I felt incredibly shamed.
Well,
So can you
take
apologize to
comfort-
me?
Well, you can take comfort in the fact that I was being somewhat facetious.
I'm sure I'm not the only person who feels shamed. I'm sure there's people in the comments section also
Look,
felt
I'm
pretty
sure
shamed
there's
by
perfectly look. No, in all seriousness, I'm sure there's perfectly good one basket air fryers up there.
You have been eating on Sunday night food out of a just one go air fryer.
Yeah, no, and it's been fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm actually
nothing wrong with it, is
thinking.
there?
I'm sure. Actually, it has its benefits as well. I'm just sort of having some fun with it.
Oh, well, I probably should have got you the one because the one that I got you just been recalled.
No, see, a friend of ours was telling us about this earlier about recalls and just trying to get me going. And I will not allow myself to worry about this.
Okay, then you can use the recalled air fryer then, because it has been the
You
Ninja
send
one.
me.
Like my wife just texted me about it that she just got the email for it because we have the same one.
Why does this happen to me?
It's not plugged in
You're lying
inside
to me,
your.
aren't you?
It's
You're
not
lying
plugged
to me,
in
aren't you?
right now in your house, is it?
No, absolutely not. I cleared space in my cupboard to put my air fryer so that I can unplug it and put it there every time I'm finished after it cools down.
Did you register it with your email? Because you would get sent the same thing too, like we did.
Well, forward me this email.
No, you sign up for it yourself. Why do I've already bought you the fucking thing. You can do one thing. You can put in your email and get the emails.
Disaster. I think I'm being lied to here. You're pulling my leg, aren't you?
Who can tell? You know, you never know
Okay.
on the Pat Mayo experience.
No, you don't. You don't know. Anyway, I do enjoy my air fryer so far. It's been, there are certain things like you can cook like chicken in it, but that's going to take about as long as it will in the oven.
That is
So I'm not
that is
sure.
absolutely not true, but okay.
Well, it says on my thing it should take like 33 minutes to cook chicken.
What kind of chicken are you cooking? Like a full chicken?
Like if I put a raw chicken breast in there,
Yeah, it'll cook in 20 minutes.
you think 20 minutes it'll cook?
I mean, it's not like I want to eat undercooked chicken. I cook chicken thighs.
No, but
and
I'm
then-
asking you.
But
'Cause I'm looking at
I cook
the
chicken
suggested
thighs.
numbers.
I
on the
cook.
thing.
Oh, is the one that appear like on the
Yeah.
air fryer? Don't fucking use those.
Yeah.
Like I told you, just Google all this stuff.
Well, they gave me a book, and the book has all these
Don't listen to the book.
cross tabs about like, oh, if you want to cook this is the time and the temperature, and so if I put a raw chicken breast into ye old air fryer, how long should that take me to cook it correctly?
I would say probably 20 to 24 minutes, because it does take about 2 to 3 minutes to heat itself up. Flip it halfway through, you'd be good to go.
Were those
Do I need to flip it? Isn't the whole point is I don't need to flip it because it's being equally heated with air on top and bottom?
Yeah, but I find that's not always the exact way that it works. I think for like frozen things, it can work that way, but I always flip everything just to be safe.
Mine also has
I
a
love the
broil
flip. I
function.
love a good flip. Love a good flip.
Yeah.
Mine has a broil function,
Okay.
so I'm excited to try that out.
Okay.
Mine only has
Were
one.
air fryers what? Were air fryers what? Like, were there when we were kids? Were those infomercials like for air fryers?
No, they're for easy bake ovens, basically, which are like the same
And those
concept. but-
pans that were, yeah.
Yeah, you should always flip it. Because
Should I? Okay.
you get-
I
you
know
get-
it said you should give things a shake. If you're like cooking like wings or something, you should give it a shake during halfway through.
I always cook the wings. I always flip them halfway through.
Yeah.
You get more of a crisp from like the top heater than the heat that's coming from the bottom for sure.
Okay.
And it also depends on how large the chicken you're putting in. If you put in, like, let's say a small breasts, so 5 to 7 ounces, so the A cup of chicken breasts, 7 to 10 minutes, medium breasts, 10 to 12, large breasts, your double Ds, your 10 ounces or more, 12 to 16. And you don't need to flip it halfway through. I put it on a little bit longer because it's chicken, but that's me.
Okay. And if it's going to marinate, like the sauce is going to make it messy inside the basket, though, right?
Again, it'll take you 30 seconds to clean it off.
Okay.
And whenever no matter whether you use no coffee filter type thing or a coffee filter, once you put chicken in something, you should probably wash it out afterwards.
Yeah, the
That's
coffee
a good idea.
Yes.
The coffee filter really, like, you're still gonna have to clean the inside of it. It just like the actual grate that you put the food on is a lot cleaner. So it's like you don't have to. It doesn't get stuff baked onto it. Basically, that's all that
Okay.
does. But like they're pretty.
Do I need
they're,
to spray
they're
it
cheap.
with cooking spray? Like I
No.
didn't use any
No,
cooking
you
spray.
don't. You don't.
But I
need
thought
to,
you
no,
did
don't-
with the
don't-
kale.
No, you don't need to. No. Why would you think that?
I don't know. I thought you would spray like some Pam in there.
No.
Okay.
You can, but you don't have to. It makes things crispy
All right.
without oil. That's the beauty of it.
Just remember to plug it in when you use it.
Well, yeah. Thank you, Patrick.
Well, I don't know what you're up to these days. You're going to be sitting there being like, well, I read the manual, everything's working, but it didn't say to plug it in, so I probably shouldn't do it.
It has this dehydration function, which I'm very interested in trying.
So it looks like you got some experimentation to do. As long as it's not
Yeah,
recalled, then I wouldn't use it.
Yeah. It seems strange how hot it gets, how quickly. I was a little nervous. I had watched it the whole time it cooked. 'Cause I wasn't sure.
Whoa, what?
I stood there and I watched it the whole time.
What did you expect to see? Like that was
I don't know.
like
Just in
so
case.
you in case what it blew up and then you would be taken
Just in
out by
case.
it?
I don't know. I just felt like I needed to keep an eye on it until I felt comfortable with it on its own. I know that sounds strange, but I remember my grandmother telling me the story like when they got the furnace installed in the house, she couldn't sleep for like a week because she was afraid the furnace would burn the house down, and it took her a while to get comfortable with a furnace going. And so perhaps it's the same thing where it just took me a moment
You
or two.
literally sound like the first time parent who
Yeah.
oh, the baby, like I have to go check if he's breathing. It's just like because I didn't see it move in 20 minutes on the monitor sleeping.
It
Yeah.
was something new, and I felt like it's a lot of raw power being used here, and like I just wanted to keep an eye on things.
Do you
But
stare?
now I think I'll be more comfortable.
Do you stand next to the microwave and just put your face up to it while things are going in the microwave? Is that what's
I
happened to you?
don't, but I don't. But I will say I get to the microwave before it finishes because I like to not hear the ding.
Yeah,
I like to
that's-
open it with like a second to go.
That's pretty common, I feel like.
Okay, that's good because that's something I feel I don't feel comfortable letting it go, and if I can get it open before it dings, I do that.
Yeah.
You
So-
don't want the neighbor to know you're eating a snack.
Not at 3 a.m.
Geoff, to hit on your point, because like we were kind of the same way when we had our first kid, just like terrified of everything. Like, oh my god, is he he dead? Is he in there? Like, I don't hear anything. We have to go in and check. By the second one, we were like, fuck this. Like, he's fine.
fine.
What's it like with 3? Is it just like, yeah, whatever?
I'm not gonna lie. I like almost haven't like yeah, it's like nothing matters. It's like the positions we'll leave him in, we'll just like put just like safe, but it's just like it's not even close. But with the first kid, I'm like watching that kid. I look at the monitor, like, and it's sleeping, and it doesn't look like it's done anything. I like literally would go in there and like poke it to make sure it would like breathe to see if it's still alive.
We
But
did
this
the
one I
same.
don't even look at.
We did the
This
same
one I don't
thing.
even look at.
Yeah. You just assume everything's fine because it probably is.
Yeah, but Tim gets an appliance and he sleeps beside it.
No, I don't. I just stood there, arms akimbo, watching it cook for the 9 minutes.
Let's go to the late set of games. Washington and the LA Rams. Tim, you were actually right about the Rams last week. They put up a far better fight than I thought that they were going to do in Baltimore. They might be peaking at the right time, but again, it might be too little too late for them at the same time, too. They're now favored by 7 at home against the Commandos. Feels like the right number. I actually don't have a side here. Like, I like the Rams. I think they'll win the game. Can they cover the 7 against a team that, on paper, coming off a bye, getting a little bit healthier, theoretically, should be able to move the ball in the air against? It's not like the Rams' defense is awesome.
I'm teasing them down to a pick.
Okay.
And I like the Rams here. Even though Washington's coming off a bye, that should help to some degree. The Rams' offense is still incredibly potent, and I just don't think Washington has any answers whatsoever for that Rams offense. So it's going to be bombs away, I think, for the Rams, who still have an excellent chance, probably an insider chance to make the playoffs. So
I'll take Washington +7, Jeff. I wouldn't bet it now. I'd wait closer. I don't think it'll go to 6.5. I would guess it would go the other way if things were. I mean, I'm wrong about these things all the time. That's the way I would play it. Just, taking your usual thing of a team played in overtime the week before. Now they're taking on a team coming off a bye. Chicanery could happen here.
Yeah, I totally agree. Rams also have the Thursday nighter the following week. This is, I don't run a model or anything, but I like to have fun and think about what I would make point spreads. Sometime, when I get to watch the show, I'm doing it along with you guys. I'm playing along. I'm not really one that's looking at advanced. I would have been dead wrong. I'd have been like a field goal off on this. This is Washington off the bye getting the touchdown. This feels like the type of game where the good version of the Redskins. Oh, God damn it.
Canceled again, Jeff. Canceled.
The good. I don't know. I think we see the fun Commanders offense. I think the plays work like they do in some games and definitely don't in others. I think this is a fun, close game.
The Rams are -200 at DraftKings Sportsbook, Tim, to not make the playoffs, right?
yeah, I was looking at that +160 to make the playoffs.
Yeah. Even money for the Packers.
I think the Packers and the Rams would be the likeliest teams to make the playoffs of that contingent.
I mean, the odds would dictate otherwise.
It's pretty close, though. Like, you throw them all in the hat. They're very, very close.
Sure, let's see. The Rams are +160. The Packers are even money. The Saints are +155, but that more kind of coincides with them winning the division. +110 for the Buccaneers. +1. Oh, the Buccaneers are the favorite now because the Falcons are +140 to make the playoffs.
For whatever reason, even though the Bucks are, even though the Falcons are favored to win the division, the Bucks have shorter odds on that. It's weird.
It's probably because they play the Packers.
They must win tie breaks or something.
Yeah, it's probably because they play the Packers this week too. That if they beat the Packers,
And the Vikings aren't even on here.
Yeah,
which is strange.
Yeah, they probably took them off the board.
Yeah,
probably because of Jefferson, to be perfectly honest.
And they also do have some long shot division odds as well to get in with.
Yes, for sure. But I mean, the Detroit is on this list. at minus
Yeah, that's
10,000 to make the playoffs. But I think it had more to do that just in the futures market, DraftKings took it off the board before we knew about Justin Jefferson, and Minnesota did just announce like within the last 2 hours that Nick Mullins is starting at quarterback. And maybe they're like, well, it's minus $1 million now that they're not starting Dobbs and they're starting Nick Mullins.
Yeah.
But it just, there was when your quarterback and best receiver are iffy to play, or you don't know who the quarterback is, and your best offensive player is 50-50 to play or whatever it might be, you probably don't put those ones up.
I'm just here to say we were right at the start of the year about how good this Rams team would be.
I
They're
agree.
not the best team in the division, but this is a really talented team who, outside of like San Francisco, who I don't think they would beat in a playoff game, would not be shocked if the Rams beat any other team in the playoffs.
I mean, they still might not make the playoffs, but they need, one more win to hit their over?
But you look at the teams they're playing; they're better than the Vikings.
I would agree, but they are one. We saw it when they went through their lull. The whole case for the Rams was if people just stayed healthy, they have so much high end talent that they should be able to overcome a lot of these other NFC teams that just don't have the talent. But we saw the moment Stafford hurt his thumb a little bit, they were like the worst team in football.
It's true, but they're good.
And
they're good.
And Kupp gets hurt twice a game and limps off, and every time Puka makes a catch, he looks like he's out for the season.
Yeah, it's true.
And like Kyron Williams goes away for like 4 games. They can't run the ball a yard in any of those games. So
this is a game they should take care of business with.
I would agree with you, but just Washington can put up points. So even a backdoor is in play here because I don't think anyone's super impressed with the Rams defense.
Sure.
Oh, San Francisco and Arizona. Arizona is a 14-point dog at home. 48 is the over-under. Refresh my memory here. Is it the Cardinals? Are they the NFC West team that gives the Niners the most problems? Like in the weird hierarchy of like the Rams always give the
Seahawks.
No, because I don't think so. The Rams always give the Seahawks.
They have a long winning streak against the Seahawks, I feel.
Yeah, the Seahawks always give the Cardinals the most problems, whether the Cardinals...
It's the Rams. Wasn't it the Rams, McVay? The Rams...
Yeah,
Maybe...
the Rams are the... McVay has a good record against the 49ers, I think.
Not anymore. They lost to them like 3 times.
Yeah.
Like 2 years
I
ago.
don't know. I will say I'm teasing the Niners down. I like it better now that the line is currently 13.5, of course, and it will probably keep moving a little bit towards the Cards. But I get that it's 14 on the show.
Yes.
I get that it's 14 on the show. It'll probably continue to move towards San Francisco or towards Arizona, I think, because the number is a little too high. And I'm going to take the Cardinals as well against the spread. I'm going to tease the Niners down, and I'm going to take the Cardinals. It's like a weird, like we're almost like my version of a Fienberg, you might say. I'm teasing the Niners down, but I think the Cardinals will cover the full spread.
I'm just going to take...
That is right.
What?
It's well, I don't know if you're right, but the Cardinals have won 12 of the last 19 against them. Heads up.
Yeah, it always felt that even when the Niners, like I always kind of look at it just for whatever reason, this division kind of has like a 1v1 with all of these teams. That even when one team is good and one team is bad, the bad team is like their kryptonite somehow. So I'm still going to take San Francisco. They're a juggernaut at this point, and this is a team they should absolutely wax without trying. Like they covered the number on the spread that we did for the show last week. They didn't cover the overall number at 14 when it went off. But like they looked like they weren't even trying in the first half against the Seahawks, and they were still beating them.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals coming off a bye. They give it a good game here. I think Kyler's really good. Don't underestimate. Kyler plays a good game coming off a bye. Niners are like going to be in cruise control. 28-17, something like that for San Francisco.
So Jeffrey,
that would be my only concern is a bit of cruise control from the 49ers, maybe even like a half effort. Maybe they play on Monday versus the Ravens next week, which is
Christmas night.
Which is only a look ahead, because it'll be so high profile Christmas night. It'll be talked up as a Super Bowl potential preview game, but it doesn't have that like rivalry sense where like there's meaning into this look ahead, but it still feels like a look ahead.
It's
I want to take
rematch
Arizona
too.
It is of the
lights out
the blackout game.
Yeah, the Superdome,
and by the odds, the likeliest betting Super Bowl matchup.
33% per FTN. and Aaron Schatz say San Francisco, Baltimore is a 33% chance of happening now. Seems high.
Seems high to me.
Yeah, me too.
But because San Francisco is probably such a heavy favorite, like I bet you the odds of a San Francisco Kansas City one is also stupidly high.
I don't know if the scalpers are hoping for San Francisco, Baltimore, but who knows?
In Vegas, probably not.
They're going like this for the Dallas Cowboys, man.
Yeah, the Niners are a good get if you can't get Dallas, but Baltimore doesn't bring it.
Dallas playing in the Super Bowl in Vegas would be. It would have to set modern, like, North America single game get-in price.
It's the AFC. I mean, there are some AFC teams there you want. You want like the Browns who've never been there. You want where everybody.
The Dolphins would travel. Like
the Dolphins would be a good one because they have
the Bills.
The answer
people would go into debt forever.
But you have to remember too that it doesn't. If as long as Dallas is there, it doesn't really matter which AFC team
correct
ends up going in because the amount of casual fans that are Cowboys fans come out of the woodwork to go, like just rich people who like LeBron James is randomly a Cowboys fan. Just the amount of rich people that are generically Cowboys fans.
He quit when Jerry Jones something with the BLM stuff. He quit the Cowboys.
He'll be
went
back.
to Cleveland.
He'll be back. It's just
imagine if it's Chiefs and Cowboys and Taylor's going to be there.
Yeah, that would be the one.
Super Bowl.
That's the one.
And like if you're CBS and if you're the Vegas municipality, that's your Super Bowl. You want Chiefs Cowboys.
Yeah, but I agree with Pat. Anything Cowboys would just when I would think the Chargers had a chance to make the Super Bowl, in my head it's like play anyone but the Cowboys I could afford to go. Like
what
anyone,
a nightmare. Chargers in the Super Bowl. What a nightmare for the organizing committee.
The NFL's kind of bulletproof in that sense.
Yeah, but like that's not what you're looking for.
San
Don't
Francisco,
worry, they're not going
Arizona?
to the Super Bowl. I'm taking San Fran, even though everything says to take Arizona.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page here. America's Game of the Week. Cowboys at Paul's Buffalo Bills coming off a season-saving victory in Kansas City last week. They are favored by 2.5 points at home. Dallas 9-4 ATS this year. The Bills 5-8. I like the Bills to win this game.
I agree with Pat.
I like Dallas. Teasing Dallas up.
Good tease, I think.
Yeah, maybe Dallas off like their biggest win of the year, huge win, statement win. Bills also off that big win. I like it. Get the Cowboys outdoors at the Ralph Bills.
I know
Super Bowl rematches.
Yeah, I was going to say, I started kind of flipping how quickly I picked the Bills because this is really the one game that I've thought about throughout the course of, the once I saw what the line was and really kind of tried to wrap my mind around it. I think there is a scenario here where the Bills just can't stop them. And it's like 48-40 or something like that. Like the Bills are, I feel like the Bills are going to get their points in this game. Because whatever happened with the Eagles offense last week, it looked kind of broken. It looked kind of broken in the first half against the Bills a few weeks ago as well. But just there's not really a big difference between the Eagles defense from last Sunday night and the Eagles defense that I wouldn't say shut down Dallas in Philly, but gave Dallas a much harder time. That putting Dallas outdoors, I do think, although that we've kind of called the Bills an indoor team for the past 3 years in the Josh Allen era, at least they can play outdoors. I just don't know in the cold if Dallas can do that because they can't run the ball at all. That's a real problem once you start getting into these games. And we know from watching every pregame show and talking head, Tim, Buffalo can run the ball very effectively, apparently.
They have great players. What a running team. I do think James Cook is one of the most underrated offensive weapons in the NFL. He helps make Buffalo go. But I don't think the Bills' secondary has a hope in heaven of defending that passing game. People seem to forget how, or glossing over how that back four for Buffalo is just in shambles. And the Chiefs couldn't really take advantage of it because their passing game, the receivers just aren't good enough right now. But I think CeeDee Lamb and all of those guys are just going to devour Buffalo in the back end, and I think the Bills are going to be hard pressed to keep up. So I do like Dallas here.
Yeah, I think that there is that scenario. I think it's just Buffalo winning creates a lot of fun in both conferences. That the Bills,
I agree.
The Bills stay alive both in the playoff hunt and in the AFC East hunt. Again, you can vote on that if you just go over to Spotify. If you've never been to Spotify, you're an Apple listener, please go subscribe over there. Only help out the show and create more engagement that way. And it kind of throws a monkey wrench back into the NFC, because who is the favorite to win the NFC right now? Is it San Francisco or is it the Eagles? Because the Eagles have like the easiest schedule going out now.
San Fran's the favorite to win the Super Bowl.
No, but he means who is the favorite to win the 1 seed?
The 1 seed in the NFC.
I mean, I would assume it has to be Philadelphia given their soft schedule. But the Eagles probably have to run the table to win it because, of course, they can't win a tiebreaker with San Francisco.
It's actually the Niners. The Niners are minus 175 to be the 1 seed. The Eagles are plus 170, and the Cowboys are 8-1.
Yeah, I don't quite understand that one.
Well,
given the softness of the schedule for Philadelphia.
I guess they're saying that San Francisco is just
although
so
I
much
do
better.
I do think, though, to be fair, I do think Philadelphia is going to lose this week. So that will be a challenge. But if they get through this game this week, then they're okay.
This is just going to be a fun one to watch. We'll be finishing up as this game is concluding, we'll be coming on live. Nick said yes to being on the show, by the way. So we will have a Dolphins fan in here, and you guys can both hate Buffalo together before turning on each other.
We can.
Paul, temperature level for the Bills?
It's rising. The group chat's fired up. Big turn of events. Last week 14 was like the best week of the year for the Buffalo Bills. Houston loses, Indy loses, Miami loses. Like, everything came up Buffalo last week. There's a lot of hope in the group chat again. Boys are fired up. It's gonna be a tough game, but I will say that I don't know. Von Miller actually got after the quarterback for the first time, like, all season. It was the first time he actually looked half decent last week after getting in trouble on the bye week.
I'm gonna say I don't know. I will not repeat my joke from us sitting around in the living room watching the game live on the show.
He looked like he was like playing for something again. Like, it's the first time all season that like he actually started getting pressure, started being disruptive. So hopefully we can go on that. Bills, it'll be close, but Bills win by a field goal.
Weirdly, Geoff, I mean, the Bills, they don't need to win out to make the playoffs. Obviously, if they win out, they're in the playoffs, it would seem. That they would be at what? They have 7 wins. They would be at 11 wins. Then they'd probably be fine at that point. They can lose this game and still make the playoffs.
10 wins if they lose one. 10 and 7.
I'm saying if they win out, they're 11. They're at 11 wins. They're in. They can lose this game and still get to 10 wins. And the rest of their games, like, it will come down to that Week 18 matchup against Miami. But, Patriots, Chargers, not to say that's a guaranteed win for them the next 2 weeks. They've already lost to the Patriots. But those are games where they're going to be touchdown favorites in.
Yep, it's true.
Sunday Night Football. Lamar at Trevi. Toughest man in football, Trevor Lawrence. He gets the award. Guy just doesn't miss games.
Yeah, it's gritty.
He's going to be like the Black Knight from Monty Python. Just he's going to be out there without an arm one day, and he's still going to be starting.
It's just a flesh wound.
The Jags are 3.5-point dogs at home. 43.5 is the over-under. I like the Jags to win this. To cover the spread. I don't want to say that I think they're going to win. It probably comes down to Tucker burying them on a late field goal. But I was pretty impressed what Jacksonville was able to do at nowhere close to 100%, especially under center with Trevor Lawrence, and able to rally back against the Browns. Their defense seems like it's starting to not quite be as good as maybe as it looked through 10 weeks. And that's reverting back to maybe their actual talent level. But Baltimore just wants to play some games with people, it seems. Back and forth. Odell's starting to look a little bit better, but it doesn't seem like, which is scary for the AFC, because it doesn't seem like they're all the way there yet on either side of the ball. They're not at the peak where they should be. And I think Jacksonville's good enough to give them a game here. So I'll take the points on Sunday Night Football, Geoff, with the Jags.
I hate this game because I don't like the Jags at all. But situationally, it feels like it could be a bad spot for the Ravens, but I'm still going to lay the 3.5. Could be, I could be betting the Jags by the time we get to Monday, though.
Tim?
I love taking Lamar in prime time.
Is that
I love
good or
when
bad?
he shows up. I love when he shows up. I feel like he does show up in big spots in prime time. This is a Jags team who 2 weeks ago was carved up by Mr. Browning. So I'm still not 100% sure I need to believe in the Jaguars. In fact, I don't believe that much in them right now. I think this is Baltimore's, this big primetime game. Is it a look ahead to San Francisco? I don't think so. I think they
play Monday 2 weeks in a row.
No, this is Sunday night.
This is Sunday night football.
This is Sunday night.
Yeah, Sunday night. I like them. I like them to win and cover. I think the Ravens really established them. I mean, the door is now wide open for Baltimore to really put the hammer down and win the 1 seed and can take care of some business. And this is a big step in that direction. And I expect them to do it.
Geoff, do you know a place where I can look up Baltimore primetime games over the past few years? It's because I remember it differently. That I always feel like they end up squeaking something out. But like, remember that stupid Raiders game from Monday Night Football where the Raiders were terrible and just somehow the game went to overtime? I feel like these things stick
It was
out.
the first game of the year.
I know. I just feel like there has been these Lamar games where it's just like, they should really kick the shit out of these guys, and they're not doing it right now. And maybe that's just that game in particular is just clouding everything. Because I can't find the numbers on it, so I really don't know. But, no. It's funny that I think of it exactly the opposite as you think of it. And neither one of us actually know what the real thing is. How perceptions can change that way.
I have no idea about his primetime record. I have no perception of it being something special or shitty. I do not know.
We have primetime highlights from the Ravens. This was written in 2021, and the biggest wins for the Baltimore Ravens in primetime in their history have come in 2008, 2012, and 2013. So unless they've done something the past 2 years.
They went head-to-head against those that juggernaut Patriots team 4 years ago and beat them Lamar's rookie year, maybe.
Yeah, I got it.
All
Tim
right,
is right.
They killed them? The Lamar crushes in primetime?
15-5, late game. Like, there's morning, early, afternoon, late. So I assume late is primetime. He's 15-5.
Okay, so they crushes it. See, Tim is right. I'm wrong. I just remember.
I don't
it's
know
just
what
funny
that is
one
against
game
the
sticks
spread,
out in my head.
but-
Now, is that just record or is that ATS?
That's just record.
Yeah.
This is just from Pro Football Reference.
I'd like to know what the ATS record is because I mean, you can actually probably look at the games. Are they close games, or are they blowouts?
I honestly can't look at the games.
Okay. Someone in the audience is probably far better at this than any of the three of us. They can find that out and let me know. I want to know at this point. I'm still going to take the Jags either way, and Tim's going to take Baltimore either way. But I'd like to know for the future as it comes down to it. Last game, Monday Night Football, Philly and Seattle. Seattle is a 4-point dog at home. Their season is probably on the line at this point. This gauntlet of bird teams has been taken care of pretty easily by the San Francisco 49ers, and nothing has been taken very easily by the Seattle Seahawks here over the past month or so. But you're taking Seattle, Tim? You think they win?
Yes, I do. I think Metcalf and Lockett feast on the Eagles secondary. I think we have seen in the last 3 or 4 weeks of games that the Eagles are regressing back to the team they really are, which is a good, wild card caliber team, not one of the top teams in the league. They are not as good as their record indicates. Seattle has been incredibly scrappy the last couple of weeks, despite being very much underdogs against Dallas and San Francisco, and still made both of those games and really hung in, despite really being behind the 8 ball. They're nowhere near as good as those teams. I think the Seahawks present, this game was flexed into Monday night, the Seahawks present a really good challenge here at home. The Eagles have been ping-pong the last couple of weeks between San Francisco and Dallas, and I would not be surprised if they took another L, and I kind of think they will. So the Seahawks are the last part of my teaser.
I like Philly to cover the 4. Don't love it. I like it, Geoff. I just think this is such a drop in quality of competition from what Philadelphia has seen the last 3 weeks. When you go through Buffalo, who's the worst of the 3 teams that they've played, and by basically any advanced metric, they're a top 5 team in football. Dallas and San Francisco, number 1 and number 2. Then you drop to the Seahawks, who are probably like the 17th best. That Philadelphia might start to look a little bit more like the Philadelphia that we saw. And they played the Chiefs before that, too. Like the team that we saw 6 weeks ago that could put up like 40 points in a game.
Yeah, I so badly want to have sided with Tim and have the balls to think the Seahawks might actually win this game outright, which I do believe is possible. But I see it like this is a chance for the Eagles to sort of assert themselves against a lower class. So give me Philly.
All right. If people have not ordered their Omaha steaks for Christmas yet for the loved ones in their lives, or even people you hate, order them either way. It doesn't matter to me. But you get 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com, and code MAYO will get you an extra $30 off that order. Granted, you meet the minimum purchase requirement, but you got to start doing that now. What are we at here? This is the 12th. Christmas soon, according to my calendar. So you might want to get on that to make sure it's there by Christmas. Order some for yourself for Christmas Day. You have the fam over, you make all the steaks or jumbo franks, or get all the desserts that come in. Make it easy stuff. Tim, you can get it and cook it in your air fryer.
Yeah, I could.
Not how I would recommend eating steaks, by the way.
Also, Christmas Day is that immaculate turkey dinner that Geoff always talks about. So there's no changing that tradition.
We gave up on turkey on Christmas ever since Pat
That's
took
understandable.
Ever since Pat took over Christmas, when we moved back, Geoff, we eat like real food that people like on Christmas now.
I said it many times. I love Christmas. It doesn't come with the sort of pressure for me or my family like it does for other people. We're invited guests all over town making our rounds. And we have a lovely time. I enjoy the holiday like so much. I love it.
So the premium picks of the week, SUPERLOCKS. I am currently winning after rallying back 8-6. Tim is 7-7. Geoff, you're 5-7. You need to get a win this week to get off the schneid here. So you can go first. What is your Omaha Steak premium pick of the week? Did you mute yourself?
No.
Okay.
I'm just staring down at it. I'm like ride or die gonna martingale these Packers for my money.
Green Bay -3.5 hosting Tampa Bay. Tim.
Falcons.
I can't begrudge you for that. It's a really short line. Smells trappy. I mean, the one that I've kind of, you know what? I like Minnesota. Minnesota +3.5. Team Mullins. Team Mullins and team bring the pressure, bring the pain at Jake Browning. He can't continue to look this good, right? Like, should I be like, hey, my Bengals AFC future's not so bad right now?
They're cooked.
They keep winning.
No, yeah, those are cooked, but this guy might be like, he might get the Matt Flynn treatment when this thing's over.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he was like the starting quarterback of the Washington Commanders next year.
No, they're drafting someone. They'll stick with, like, Howell has seemed just as good as he has. Just Browning gets to throw to Jamar Chase.
Well, put him in Minnesota then. Let him throw to Justin Jefferson.
Well, they have Nick Mullins. They don't need him.
Yeah, right.
Well, we'll see in this game when they go heads up. So to recap your free money line parlay for Saturday, Cincinnati, Indy, and Detroit.
Yeah, 3 home teams.
And then you got Chicago +10.5, Rams to a pick'em, San Francisco to 7 points, Dallas up to 9.5. You didn't give us the 5th on that 7-point teaser.
Seattle.
Oh, it's Monday night. Okay.
Like
Yeah.
so
Seattle. Yeah, Seattle goes up to 11. Seattle, Dallas, San Francisco, the Rams, and the Bears.
All right. We will probably be doing the show a day early next week because some of us have conflicts. Not Paul. Not me. Not Geoff. Maybe the coin. But it is Tim and Cust.
Tim and Cust.
That's not my name.
And listen, now that there's Saturday games, maybe putting it out on Monday. Listen, who cares about the ranking show anymore? If people are in their fantasy playoffs, they know who they're starting at this point.
It's true.
And then we have more shows too. We have we have golf draft, probably a year in review for golf. Some other things. I don't know if I said we weren't going to do the Christmas show, but maybe we just do an independent Cust Corner with Garion. I tried to think through that New Year's show, and it's a lot more difficult logistically than I would have thought, that maybe we don't do it with all of the people. We can only do it with some of the people just based on equipment needs, but we have shows to shoot. So there'll be more of all of us coming very, very soon, except for maybe the coin.
You could also do the New Year's show where, like,
you could do the New Year's show where there's
like,
just nothing. We just, all of us are on the line and we just chat. And I guarantee you the content would be excellent.
No, but you could also do it like, I don't want to, what's the proper word for this? But like, do it like a radio show and like segments and like get people on and off and like.
You could do that too.
Jeff,
Yeah.
you overestimate how much I want to work between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah, no, you're right. I apologize for that. I heard Tim can't make next week because he's getting an appliance installed and he's just got to stare at it on Tuesday.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
That will do it on the show. I want to thank Paul, Jeff, and Tim, and the coin, and all of you very good people for tuning in to the Pat Mayo Experience. Sub to the channel and smash the like. We can do that. There's 2 Listeners Leagues this week. You can sub to both those. Get your entries right now down in the description. RunTheSims.com, code Mayo. Get you 10% off. Get that prop sniper in your life. Maybe win or lose, I suppose. It really depends on what the outcomes are, but you can win enough to get more Christmas presents. Maybe some OmahaSteaks.com, code Mayo, to get you in on that as well, and answer the Spotify question of the week on the Spotify app, where you can leave a rating, you can download the show and sub to the show, all that fun stuff. But please, even if you're not sub to it, just go there. It'll help us out with the algorithm, and we need that right now, all right? I'm Pat Mayo. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!